All praises belong to Allah, Lord of the world, the beneficial, the most merciful. Him alone we worship, and Him alone we seek for help. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon our noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his household, his companion, and the entire Muslim Ummah. On behalf of Sisters Halaqa Foundation, my name is Engineer Memuna Yakubu Abdulsalam. I'm going to be your host for this program. It is a great honor to have you here all with us today. The Teens Program is one of the annual activities of Sisters Halaqa Foundation, geared towards giving our children the opportunity to come together to find, discuss, and share knowledge on issues and challenges facing the Muslim youth with the aim of finding solutions that are in line with the teachings of Islamic religion. Inshallah, today we shall be discussing some confusing issues on modern-day challenges faced by the Muslim youth, which makes it difficult to clearly differentiate between what is haram and what is halal. As such, the theme for this year's annual Teens Youth Program is tagged Modern-Day Challenges of the Muslim Youth and Expectations. In line with this affirmation theme, we shall be discussing the following topics: your identity, negative media influence, understanding crime and punishment according to the Sharia and laws of the land, adolescence, sexuality and development. Inshallah, by the end of this program, we should be able to understand our identities, role as Muslim youth, and pay attention to changes, development, and expectations as we grow into responsible adults. My dear children, brothers and sisters, I urge you all to listen attentively as our amazing speakers give justice to these topics. May the proceedings of this program be a success and the result contribute to fulfilling the aspirations and hopes of the Muslim Ummah. May peace and blessings of Allah be upon us all. Thank you. So without wasting time, we've wasted a lot of time. We are quickly going to go into the business of the day. Our first speaker is Sister Aisha Adaviruku. Sister Aisha Adaviruku is a sister, a mother, and member of Sisters Halaqa Foundation. She is the founder, master coach, coaching, and mentoring hub here in Abuja. She is a master of neuro-linguistic programming trainer, a transformational speaker, psychotherapist, and an Islamic finance expert. She will be taking us on the topic, identity. Who or what defines you as a Muslim? Self-confidence, maintaining faith and culture, gender roles and attitudes. Please join me in welcoming Sister Aisha Adaviruku.
Assalamu alaikum. It's my pleasure to welcome you all here today. Thank you so much, Sister Memuna, for that very rich welcome to our youth. Now, you all are the leaders of tomorrow. You're very important to us, both as parents, as nation builders, as an ummah. The home front is very important because it's the smallest unit of any society. When you have one home here, one home there, one home there, they come together to form one community here, one community here, one community here. They come together to form a state or a town or a nation. So you're very important, and that's why we're doing what we're doing today. So I commend you for investing your time to be here today, and I pray that you gain maximum benefit from this session. So I want to ask you, who are you? Right? It's tied to the topic I'll be speaking about today. Looking at identity, I'll be looking at faith and culture, I'll be looking at gender roles, and we're going to do it together. It's going to be an interactive session, inshallah. So when we look at identity, we said who or what defines you as an individual. We'll look at self-esteem and self-confidence because both are important to achieving your highest purpose for creation. Then we'll look at maintaining faith and culture and gender roles and attitude. So, if I were to ask you to introduce yourself, how would you introduce yourself? When I say, who are you? So I'm going to, this session is going to be very interactive, and the most active person is going to go home with a gift. I won't reveal the gift, right? Who is going to take notes for me? You take notes for me of the most active person. Okay, no, don't take notes, so that if you are the most active person, it won't seem as if you gave yourself, that. Sister Vemina is not here. I need one person. Who else can take notes for me? Okay, she's coming. So, I said the session is interactive, and the most active person is going to go home with a gift. So I need somebody to, help me take notes of the most active person. You can assign somebody. Okay, beautiful. So now, I'm going to select like 10 people to introduce themselves. Tell me who you are. You have 1 minute to tell me all about yourself, right? Are you game? So who wants to do that? Let me see your hand up. Right hand up. You don't want to tell me about yourself. Oh, no. Okay, how about the meal? You want to tell me about yourself? It's not exam, so. You're the person that knows most about yourself. Just the basics, so. About all of who you are. Let me see your hands up. 10 people. So I'll count from 5 to 1, and then I want you to answer me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands up. Tell me who you are. Okay, 1. So you take numbers. Who is the second person? Our brother has broken the silence. Who is next? Okay, beautiful. Who is next? Okay, 3. Okay, so who is number 4? Who is number 4? Who is number 4? So let me tell you a story. Where I was employed as a banker many years ago, and then we went for a training like this. And everyone was asked to introduce themselves. And then, some people would stand up and we could barely hear what they were saying. When it got to my turn, I introduced myself. And then, going forward, the facilitator would, tell anybody who was not audible enough that, didn't you hear her? She's here and you were there, and you heard her clearly when she introduced herself. So that's how I want us to introduce ourselves. Because you're who you are, you need to own it. Okay, who wants to tell us only their names? Don't tell us about yourself. We have 3. Please indicate. Our youth, our leaders of tomorrow. Okay, I'll select. You are 4. You are 5. You are 6. Remember your number. Okay, 6. Sister Salma, you are 7. You are 8. Sis, you're not wearing a tag. You are 9. Okay. Please, make your tag visible. Okay, Sister Sauda. So who wants to take the 10? So I'm going to start from 1. I will select 10 later.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. I'm Abishaka Abdurrahman, and I'm a penultimate student of Federal University of Jamina. I'm studying mechatronics engineering. I'm also a budding data scientist. Thank you.
So, you said you're Mr. Mustafa?
I am Abishaka Abdurrahman. I'm Abishaka Abdurrahman.
Our engineer in the making, right? Okay. May Allah grant you tawfiq. So now, please, when it gets to your turn, just lower your mask so that we can hear what you're saying. And remember that when you talk, everybody should hear what you're saying. Who is number 2 was where? Who was number 2? Okay, beautiful.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nafisa Aminu. I'm a SS3 student of Mumtaz Secondary School. I'm a science student.
Thank you, thank you. Who is number 3? Okay, beautiful.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Sajida Muhammad Awal. I'm a student in Nine University of Nigeria. I study political science and international relations.
Beautiful. Okay. Who is number 4? Number 4? Who is number 4? Who did I give number 4? Okay, you are the new number.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Dair Abdul Salam. I am a law student in Kampala International University in Uganda. I'm also an entrepreneur. I deal in textiles, jalabia, and other things.
Thank you so much, Mr. Muhammad. You see, we gave you free adverts. People would come and ask you for textiles now. Please, anybody that goes to him to buy textiles should give me commission. So who is number 5?
My name is Saad Idris. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Saad Idris. I'm a science student. I'm SS2 science student in JSS Kubwa.
Thank you very much. You see, some of you didn't want to introduce yourself, but when you did, we learned a little, right? And we also learned maybe we may know you from somewhere or some things we can do together. And that's what being able to define who you are does for you. You're able to show up when and how you're supposed to show up. Now, if we go deeper, we say that as individuals, right? Allah said He has created us for what? For one purpose, to worship Him. Right? So, if Allah has created us to worship Him, who are we then? How do we see ourselves? We are consisted of, note this down, we're consisted of a mind, a body, a heart, and a soul. What does all this help us do? It helps us to understand why we are here on earth. Our bodies help us to live our daily lives. It's because you have a body that you're sitting here today. It's your body you used to get into the car. It's your body that you used to contribute to the world in whatever capacities you're contributing. How about your mind? You use your mind to learn. Anything that you know today, we individuals, everybody is born upon the future, and when you're born, some of the things you didn't know as a helpless child, you grew up to learn them. What did you use to learn all those things? You used your mind to learn everything you know today. How about your heart? You use your heart to feel and to love. And this is very important to us as human beings, because we as human beings are made for connection. Repeat after me, we are made for connection. Then how about our soul? Right? Our soul is that which returns to Allah. Our soul, and it is the most important part of who we are. Although we do not see it, we see our body, right? For some of us who did basic science, we have a picture of how the heart looks. And for some of us who are, interested in psychology and all that, we have an idea of how the mind works. Now, how about the soul? The soul is that which will return to Allah. So, whatever the body, the mind, and the heart is doing, it is to feed the soul. The soul is that which doesn't die, but the body would return. The mind would decay. The heart would decay. The soul. So everything we're doing as human beings, we're doing it as we're storing it for the soul. It's storage for us. Because the soul, all of us here, alhamdulillah, Allah has given us life today. We have woken up today, right? So we now know that we are all on a journey. And this journey has an end. It has a beginning, it has an end. But the soul is the one which lives endlessly. Is the one which returns to Allah. Allah has promised us. Some unbelievers have said, how can Allah bring back the bones once they have, decayed? And Allah promised us that He is the one that created us in the first place. And He is the one to bring the bones back together. So, and the promise of Allah is true for all times. So I want to ask you, what you are doing with your body, what you are doing with your heart, and what you are learning with your mind, are they geared towards fulfilling your soul, which will return to Allah for accountability? Do you even know what is required of you as Muslims? Do you know what Allah has instructed us to do with our body? What Allah has instructed us to do with our mind? What Allah has instructed us to do with our hearts? Anyone wants to say something? Do you know? Do you know? Okay. So, I'm checking my notes. So we say that identity, they are the qualities, beliefs, personality, looks, and expression that make up a person or a group. And one can regard the awareness and categorizing of this as either positive or negative. So, and this refers to self-image and self-esteem. As Muslims, how do we see ourselves? How do you see yourself as a Muslim? Your sense of belief, your sense of expression is your identity. Your sense of self-image is your identity. Your sense of self-esteem is your identity. What does Islam say about all of this? One thing, as Muslims, Allah said that He has created us for the sole purpose only of worshiping Him. So if we are created to worship, where are the guidelines for us to worship Allah? They are in the Sharia. You know, you hear no phones place. You hear some people say life has no manual, right? Do you believe, if you believe life does not have a manual, let me see your hand up. Life does not have a manual. Okay, if you believe life has a manual, let me see your hand up. Okay, you believe that life has a manual. So if you don't believe anything, let me see your hand up. Okay, some people never put their hands up. Did you understand the question? What was the question?
Life has a manual, and I think it's the Quran, and I think from the prophets.
Thank you very much. Did you all hear what he said?
I said I think life has a manual, and it's the Hadith and the Quran.
The sources of the Sharia law, the Quran, the Hadith, and the secondary sources, right? They are the manual for how we should live our lives. How many of you here have done Islamic religious studies in school? Okay, almost everyone have their hands up, right? Beautiful. So, you did sources of Sharia, right? Did you? Do you remember doing sources of the Sharia law? Huh? Yes or no? Okay. So, that is the manual for our existence. And the Prophet ﷺ has told us that it is our duty to ensure that we seek for knowledge for how to live our lives. Seeking for knowledge empowers us with the right set of beliefs. Beliefs are the boundary conditions of our thinking. They enable us to take the right kind of action as human beings. If we believe some things are not possible, we may not be able to achieve them. But if we believe they're possible, we would be able to achieve them. Beyond this, how do we see Allah? Allah says that you cannot worship me if you do not know me. So you need to continuously, learning is a journey from birth to death. It's something you do continuously. It's something you do, as long as you have awareness. Because having consciousness to us, for some people, it starts from around the age of 5, 6. If I say, think back to when you first, you can think of yourself as a child. Some of you may not be able to remember yourself as when you're 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Maybe from 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, some of you may start to remember, oh, when I was 5, something happened. I can remember when I was about 6 years, we changed locations. Then we were living at Zuba and with my parents, and then I can remember the journey vividly. How we, the journey of our changing location. So let me ask you, what's that first memory that you remember of yourself? All these are important for how you see yourself, who you believe you are. Now, tie this to self-esteem and self-confidence as Muslims. Self-confidence is an attitude about your skills and abilities. It means you accept and trust yourself and have a sense of control about your life. Do you have a sense of control about your life? Do you believe that you have a sense of control about your life? Now, people who have low self-confidence doubt their ability to be able to, control their lives, which is the control we're talking about is within those things within your capacity of having healthy boundaries, of being able to speak up when you need to speak up, of being able to achieve the kind of dreams you have. So what are your dreams? Can somebody tell me what are your dreams? Right? So, how can you begin to build self-confidence? How can you improve on your existing self-confidence? You can do this by thinking of things good at. That are those things that you're good at. Right? You can also do this by, after you have found out those things you're good at, you now improve on them. For instance, if you're good at public speaking, right? Or you like to speak in public, you can now learn skills to improve on your public speaking, Like what I'm doing right now. I have to learn how to stand up here and do this better. I was passionate about speaking. When I was about 8, my father took me to an engineering conference. It's a huge benefit that you're here today. And then I saw women on stage, movement and all that, and I thought, wow, so they have to speak on stage, and I picked interest in speaking. And with time, I attended several courses to hone my public speaking skills. So I ask you, what is that thing that you're good at? Because whatever you're good at, right, you tie it to the 6 human needs. What are the 6 human needs? The 6 human needs are, number 1, certainty. Then we have variety. Then we have significance. Then we have contribution. Then we have growth. Then we have love. So those things that how can you, for those things, how can you use it to contribute to the society positively? How can you use it to gain significance? Because it's a need of individuals to be significant. How can you use it to grow? How can you use it to love? Which is what we're doing here today. We're sharing love. As Sisters Halaqa Foundation, we love the youths because you are the leaders of tomorrow, and we are, we are propelled to do this, to spread the right kind of knowledge for your use, for today and for your future. So it's not only about today. So now we are certain that you are learning new things. And the variety is there are a lot of topics for you to learn. So you can also do this in different areas of your life. Like school, you don't learn only English or only math. You learn English, variety, math, basics, and all that. So even those in one course, they learn different branches of the course. They don't specialize. It's part of the human need for variety and for contribution, because whatever you learn, you use it to contribute to the world. The chairs you're sitting on right now, it was not in existence many, many centuries ago, but somebody thought about, why don't I contribute this to humanity? The bulb you see, look up and look at this bulb. A man named Edison, he tried creating the light bulb and failed 999 times. He only succeeded at the 1000th time. So this is what happens when you want to contribute. He said he only learned 999 ways that the light bulb could not work. Before him, there were people who wanted to, produce the light bulb, But they failed. Some of them gave up, or all of them gave up, because he was the one that finally had the patent. So once you know who you are, and you're convinced about the contribution you want to make to the world, great things happen. Amazing things happen. And that's one of the biggest things we want you to take away from here today. Some of the greatest scientists of the world were Muslims. Named Ibn Khaldun. He was one of the greatest economists to have ever lived. He propounded a lot of theories. So I ask you, how do you see yourself? What contributions do you want to make to the world? Through owning your strengths, through having the confidence to actually own your strength and improve on your strength and contribute to humanity. So, you need to have a sense of purpose. Set some goals. When you do all of this, it increases your self-esteem and self-confidence. So we say that self-esteem is the opinion you have about yourself. What opinion do you have about yourself? You know, some individuals, they believe that their voices should not be heard out. Okay, if I speak, I may make a mistake, or I'm not comfortable speaking outside. But the question is, does this serve you? Does this serve the kind of, contribution you want to make in the world? It's a question you should ask yourself deeply. Right? So, for you to improve on your self-esteem, you need to be mindful of the way you speak to yourself. You see that voice that speaks in your mind that sometimes tell you, no, don't do it. No, don't speak up. No, they will laugh at you. Oh, no, they are looking at you. Sometimes people are too busy with their lives to even look at what you're doing. But that makes you look small and feel small and unable to step your greatness. And as Muslims, remember that we're leaders. You should step up when you need to and contribute to the world in whatever capacity that you can, leveraging on your strengths. It is very important as an ummah for us to do this consciously, deliberately, and intentionally. So if you find out some of these things, that you're supposed to do, and there's a voice telling in your head that you can't do it, no, you'll be embarrassed, or maybe you're bullied at school, you should step up and speak up. That's the only way to change the narrative and become someone to be reckoned with, to be somebody that contributes positively to the nation and the ummah. Because we're all part of whatever we do, and we tie it to pleasing Allah. We say, okay, I'm doing this, seeking the pleasure of Allah. Even if you take water and sip it to gain strength to worship Allah or to help someone maybe lift a burden, it's all part of your purpose for existing. All part of the great here today. And what we are doing here today of our purpose of worshiping Allah through this means. So be conscious. Anything you're doing, ensure that it is positive. And when you make mistakes, look for ways to correct them. When you make mistake and you repent and correct, Allah accepts your repentance. And He rewards you for repenting. So it is not about, don't wallow in your mistakes and say, oh, I tried before and I made mistakes. Or could not, I've sinned. I can't be pure again. Whispers of Shaitan. You have to be bigger than this. Own your greatness. Make amends where necessary. When you do all of things and self-confidence. So it is very important as individuals that we pay attention to all of this, ways in which we can improve our esteem, ways in which we can improve our self-confidence and contribute to wherever we are. Is it at school? Is it at home? Is it, in business, like our brother does business? How can you contribute? There are always ways to do that. Now, when it comes to faith and culture, as Muslims, Alhamdulillah, when we say, I submit, I am a Muslim, it is now our responsibility to learn the 5 pillars and how to do them well. Higher objective of the Sharia, the maqasid, there are 5. The highest benefits. The Sharia is here, right, to protect life, to protect faith, to protect the intellect, to protect lineage, and to protect wealth. There are laws guiding how to protect your life. That if an individual takes another's life, you're supposed to pay a fine, or they're supposed to pay his life in return. The Sharia says that if you kill one person, it's as if you have killed the whole of humanity. And if you save one life, it's as if you have saved the whole of humanity. This is how important life is in the Sharia. How about the intellect? The Sharia tells us that we should guard our intellect from being corrupted. We should maintain our cycle of influence. I know for you teenagers, and young adults, peer influence is a great thing. It's huge. Because some you want to feel among. And some of the things that they're telling you to do to feel among may be negative. So the question is, if you know who you are and you know you are a Muslim, would you allow yourself to be negatively influenced? Would you allow yourself to be negatively influenced? Now, close your eyes. Want to go on a journey and take a deep breath. Close your eyes. We're going on a journey, a beautiful journey. We're going to a seaside. Don't worry. Nobody will take your eyes closed. Now, I want you to imagine yourself, right? You're walking along this beautiful island. And in this beautiful island, as you look over the horizon, you can see where the blueness of the sky meets the blueness of the water. And it's so beautiful. You can feel the softness of your feet on the sand. And as you look down at the sand, you can see the golden colors with twinkles of silver emanating from the sand. With your ears, you can pick up the lapping of the waves. And you feel a sense of deep peace and relaxation wash over you. And you are grateful for this journey today. And you are taking all lessons for today and for the future from this journey of greatness. You feel a sense of deep peace and relaxation. And as you look off to your right, you can see all your family members there. They're keen, running around, and you go and join in the running around. And so happy. Now you're going to come back into this room in a moment with this sense of happiness, gratitude, and joy. Count from 3 to 1, 3, 2, 1 back. So, I say to you that when it comes to the mind, we can use the mind any way we want. We just took a journey using our mind. Our mind is limitless. How many of you saw the seaside? Very few people saw the seaside. How many of you enjoyed the seaside? Mr. Muhammad, you didn't enjoy the seaside, or you didn't go at all? So, you see how large the intellect is. Your mind is limitless. You have the capacity within you to allow your mind take you to goodness or to evil. This is how powerful your mind is. And it starts with one single thought that you have. So would you rather think positive thoughts or negative thoughts? Positive? Why?
Keep yourself happy and live a stress, without stress, and just feel good.
Did you guys hear what you said? Say it louder. What you said is very good. I want you
To live a happy life, stressless, life without stress, and feel good about yourself, and that's all.
Okay, thank you. He said to live a good life, stressless life, and be happy. And I want to add, and be productive, because sometimes our minds can stop us. So what you feed your mind is very important. And the Sharia recommends that. How many of you know what the Prophet Muhammad used to go and do in the cave of Hira? What did he used to go and do? Did you do the history of Islam at school? What did he used to go and do at the cave of Hira? He used to meditate. How many of you meditate? If you meditate, let me see your hand up. The best of mankind used to meditate. How many of you take time today to meditate? Wow. Our young engineer meditates. Who else meditates? So, meditation is, okay, beautiful. Why are you holding her hand? So, meditation is food for the soul. It's very important for us to include it in what we do. Because when you meditate, right, you are calming yourself, calming your nerves, and also gaining greater insights. Journey you are on. When you meditate, you are using your intellect. It's a beautiful experience. Part of what we just did now by going to the riverside is part of meditation. Did you know? So, you need to sharpen your intellect. By sharpening your intellect, you are able to contribute to the ummah of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam better. Let me hear you say sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Takbir. When you meditate, you enhance your intellect. When you read, you enhance your intellect. When you come to study cycles like this, you enhance your intellect. The Prophet ﷺ was telling somebody about when you come to the garden of paradise or something, and he was like, when you come to them, be quiet. And they asked him, what is it? He said, the study cycles. Mixed with like minds. Anybody that introduces any evil to you, they are not what. Because when you stand before Allah to give account, they will tell you, no, I'm not there. Oh, I just told you and you chose to do it. So please, do not allow peer influence you to do evil. Because only you will give account. As long as you are an adult, you are matured, you are accountable. You are no longer young. Once as a woman, you start your monthly period. And as a man, you start wet dreams. You are now an adult. You are accountable for those things you do. If you sin, you are accountable. So what do? Strive to understand what the Sharia says so that you can abide by them. Which is the importance of the intellect and seeking knowledge. I know peer pressure, I'm repeating it. Peer pressure is a big thing for young people, teenagers and adults. Which is why you need to have a sense of who you are. Once you have a sense of who you are, you have tremendous capacity to influence your cycle rather positively, rather than your cycle influencing you negatively. When you see negative elements around you, you are able to run away from them or have healthy, what we call healthy boundaries. What are healthy boundaries? Keeping people that are not serving you away from you. Keeping negative people away from you. Keeping negative items away from you. Not watching those, movies where evil is shown. Not playing those games where evil is shown. Not chatting with evil strangers on the internet. Not spending all your time on the internet, wasting it away, rather than contributing to the world. That phone that you're holding, chatting, talking, or playing games is from somebody's head. Why don't you do something that is better than that with your time and contribute to the world? Limit the time you spend on the internet. Once you spend too much time on the internet, you are deadening your brain cells that are supposed to be growing as a result of doing things that are productive. So the Sharia says we should guard our intellect. The Sharia also says that we should guard our faith. Our faith is very important. How do you guard your faith? You need to even understand, when it comes to Iman, what are the attributes? When it comes to Salat, what are the attributes? When it comes to Zakat, what are the attributes? When it comes to fasting, how are you supposed to do it? When it comes to the going to pilgrimage, how are you supposed to do it? How many of us know? So it is very important that we are cognizant of all of this. To protect our faith, we need to even know what our faith says we should do, and when, and how. So I am charging all of you today that the same amount of time you dedicate to chatting or reading romance novels or reading other kind of material, have study time to study about Islam. If possible, ask your parents, if possible, if ask your parents to, enroll you in an Islamia where you are told about the Quran, not only reading the Arabic version, but understanding the translation and the tafsir. Reading hadiths and understand the significance of the rulings. Understanding the differences between weak and sound hadiths. All these are important for us as Muslims. This is our real purpose for existence, to serve Allah. And how do you serve Allah? You need to know Him first. Then we have the protection of wealth. You see, Islam says that we should grow wealth, halal wealth. Beyond growing halal wealth, we are encouraged to give zakat and sadaqah and do good. How do you do zakat? How do you do sadaqah? By halal wealth. I commend what my brother here is doing. He's already trading. He's an entrepreneur. So how many of you here are actively doing something to bring in income? 1 hour a day is enough for you to do something to bring in income. And you can begin to give sadaqah from there. Maybe at this stage, maybe soon he will start to give zakat. Protection of wealth. Remember, first, the wealth must be halal. Second, you must grow it. And third, you must give out of it to purify it. Then we have protection of lineage. I'm happy that all of you here are young. We have been mandated to protect what is between our thighs, our private parts. We've been mandated to protect our tongues from evil. Once we do this actively, some of you here are of marriageable age. May Allah grant you pious spouses and make you pious spouses too. Now, protecting the lineage starts from each and every one of you. How do you protect the lineage? by ensuring that you give the right to your privacy as women to only your husband. And when do you start it? You start it by being pious now. You learn piety now. It's not when you get married. Protect your private, both the male and the female, I'm telling you, protect your private parts. Because even if the male, impregnates a woman he's not married to, you're already diluting that lineage. Because you can claim you're not the owner. So it is very important that we pay attention to protecting our private parts. Protect yourself from sexual abuse. Do not let yourself be in the same room with people that are not your mahram. For the both of you. Know the shaitanic tricks of people who want to take advantage of you, so that you can protect yourself from them. All these are ways that you can protect your lineage, by protecting your private parts. It is very essential. Do not dabble into fornication. And even if, God forbid, you are involved in it, you can repent now. You can decide no more. Human beings do make mistakes. That's why Allah forgives. And he says that he forgives. Do not go back to the mistake. Repent and don't go back. If somebody tricked you into anything, and you have come to realize, oh, I've wronged my own soul, you can always repent and not go back to it. Because there are a lot of things attached to that. There are a lot of, one of my sisters will be taking that topic tomorrow. There are a lot of dangers attached to, unlawful sexual intercourse. So, remember, protect your intellect, protect your faith, protect your life, protect your lineage, and protect your wealth. These are the highest benefits of the Sharia. So, where does this come in? When we talk about faith and culture, Islamically, there are some cultures that are allowed. That's why sometimes they even say that, okay, when it comes to fatwa, the local imam should give fatwa specific to, a situation. As long as it is not within the haram. If it's cultural and it's not within the haram, Bismillah. It is when you now bring cultural elements that are haram and you start to mix it with Islam, then you are going extreme. And Allah has said that incurs his wrath. Haram, the practice of goodness, both in this world and in the hereafter. That's why we should run away from haram. So there are some cultural practices that are haram. There are some cultural practices that are halal, as they are not categorically stated in Sharia, but they don't contravene any Sharia injunctions. So who can give me examples of some cultural practices that may not contravene Sharia injunctions, and some cultural practices that contravene Sharia injunctions? Where are you all from? Different places. That's nice. But we're all Nigerians, right? Yeah. So, Sharia is our manual for existence. These cultural practices that I'm talking about, they're just few. Like the way maybe we do weddings. The way we do weddings differ from one location to the other. Like in my own place, if you're doing wedding, they will say you should go and bring a certain number of tubers of yam, a certain keg of oil and all that. Now in the Sharia, we've been told that we should not make marriage difficult. We should make it easy. Does this practice contravene the Sharia? Maybe not outrightly. For somebody who is able to. Because some people even incur debt do this. Right? So the question now is, Does it become compulsory on somebody who's unable to do it? Now, another big topic we'll be discussing are gender roles and attitude. What is gender? I'm happy that at least, well, somewhat the faces here are somewhat matured. So what is gender? Who wants to tell me what is gender? You can tell me what gender is. What is gender? Who wants to tell me what gender is? Okay, thank you.
It's a classification that describes whether you are male or female.
Tell us what gender is. Now, how many of you are aware that in some parts of the world today, they have redefined gender to include all sorts of classifications? How many of you are aware? Beautiful. What does Islam say about gender? What does Islam say about gender? Allah says He has created us male and female in order to worship Him. Right? And He has given each gender roles. The Prophet ﷺ in his hadith said that each of you are a shepherd. The man is the shepherd over the family, and the woman is the shepherd over the household. So what are the other classifications that have come in? We have a cisgender, this gender, and all, some funny classifications. So the question is, what do we believe as Muslims? How do we show up, especially for those of you, some of you that may school in the West? This propaganda of exposing individuals to some queer ideas is dangerous to our mental health. Now, as Muslims, we should understand that we have a role to play. And the role starts from how we show up. How do you show up? Who do you believe you are? Which brings us back to identity. Who do you believe you are? And how do you contribute to the world in whatever capacity? How exactly do you contribute to the world? Do you believe these emerging classifications? Do you believe them? Do you stand up for truths when the falsehood? Do you speak? It's been said that the Prophet ﷺ said that we should, when it comes to falsehood, when it comes to evil, we should hate it in our hearts or speak up against it or work against it. Hating it in our heart is the weakest form of faith, right? Now, there is a lot of debate around the gender issue. What I want you to take away today from here is that the Sharia is our guide. And it has told us how to live both as male and female. If you do have struggles, see a mental health expert who can help you with those, kind of struggles. It may be a trial for you. Do you understand? And it's a trial that you can overcome. If you have any struggle as regards to gender, it's a trial and you can overcome it, because Allah has told us that He has created us as male and female. And our sole purpose is to worship Him. And we can do this in whatever capacity by ensuring that we contribute, we love one another, we seek growth, and doing all of this to gain significance with our Lord, especially when our soul is returned. So, on this note, I'm going to this talk, and I'm going to ask you questions. But before I ask you questions, you should ask me questions first. What we have discussed are identity, who or what defines you. And I said, as an individual, you have a mind, you have a body, you have a heart, and you have a soul. Right? And building self-esteem and self-confidence is important because it enables you live your best life as a Muslim and Muslimah. Maintaining faith and culture is possible, especially discarding those cultural practices that are haram. We have been assigned gender roles at Muslims, and it is best captured in the hadith of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said, each of you is a shepherd. The man is the shepherd over the family, and the woman is the shepherd over the household. So, like I always tell my boys, I tell them that, are you preparing to become fathers? And I tell them the roles a father, a husband is supposed to play, and a son. Tell them, please, when I'm gone, continue to make du'as for me, because it will be a sadaqah to Sharia for me. I tell them, as the man of the house, you are responsible for the emotional protection of your family, for their feeding, for their shelter, for their clothing, and ensuring that you guide them to live as Muslims to the best of your ability. And as women, you've been known as the queen of the house. You nurture the child, you carry the child. You should make yourself into a vessel of obedience to Allah. Every one of you is your responsibility to keep your private parts chaste. It is not only the responsibility of the female or the male, so that we may raise a better ummah. So, on this note, I say Alhamdulillah. I'm going to welcome your questions, your contributions, and then I'll ask mine. Do you want to take numbers? Who has questions or contributions? Okay, so please stand up, stand up, stand up. Remember that my gift is still there. So now we are going to go to the question, contribution, and answer segment. If you have to ask me questions first, me too, I will ask my own after you have asked your questions. So let's do some rain. 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 No. I want an ummah of young people that are very active and agile. Let's go. Do some rain. Do some rain. It seems I'm doing some rain more than some people. Do some rain. Do some rain. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, sit down. So who has a question? You can also write down your question if you don't want to ask it. Who has a question? Who has a question? Okay. So if you don't have, right? From what you have learned today, tell me, what is identity? Who do you think you are? And from what we have learned today, what are you going to practice with respect to improving your self-esteem and self-confidence? From what we have learned today, how do you plan to balance faith and culture? Your faith, your Islamic faith, and cultural practices. From what we have learned today, what are the roles of your gender as a Muslim? From what we have learned today, what contributions do you plan to make to humanity? Now, I'm going to pick people randomly to answer this question. So I hope you have noted it. When I pick, you can choose to answer any of the questions. What do you want to put later? Because of what you have now?
I'll try to be more confident in myself and to believe that I can do whatever I want to do. Okay, I'll try and be more confident in myself and to believe that I can do whatever I want to do. I will be more confident in myself, and I'll learn to believe more in myself that I can do what I want to do. The second one, I was more sure of myself.
When you take the microphone, you tell us and your response. Remember, your response it could be on self-confidence, self-esteem, it could be on gender, it could be on who you think you are. Go to the wall.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Alher Ismail, and I want to contribute. As Muslims, we should understand that we should understand the role we play and what we contribute. That I learned to be more confident and having self-esteem. By not letting people take that. By not letting people take advantage of me. By not letting people take advantage of me.
I will contribute to public speaking. The Sharia law. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Aishanana Muhammad, and I would like to contribute to the world by being more intentional about kindness on a daily basis.
Okay, thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Adaviruku Isa. I would like to contribute to the society by being a better Muslim and a role model to younger ones. My gender roles, I would like to be a good father, the one every children would like to look up to and want to be like.
I've learned that our character defines who we are, and I will try to be a good person in future times. By being good and positive. I learned that our character defines who we are. I've I've learned that our character defines who we are, and I will try to be a better person for the society.
Thank you. So, Samamuna, is there anybody you think that you ask a question I've not asked? Those in front, what? Okay. What?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Halima Sadia Umar, and I learned that you should always believe in yourself and have self-confidence and high self-esteem. By believing in yourself and not caring about what people think. Like not trying to make their decision bring you down. Yes, Sharia.
So thank you all so much. Do you, at this junction, do you have questions? Mr. Man, what's it? Now? Aviz, do you have a question about what we learned today? Do you have a contribution you want to make? What did you learn about self-esteem? Okay, so how do you plan to this or to improve your self-esteem? Thank you so very much. It was a pleasure to have been here today.
There's someone I know in our school. So close to us, like friend wise, I won't call him a friend because he says he's now an atheist. So the problem is all of us are together with him. Okay, all of us that are together with him are not in association with anything he does. How will I put it? He has started doing drugs, and he takes like substance that are not. How will I put it? He's just off. So I don't know. We won't call it peer pressure, since none of us are doing it. So and he doesn't take corrections. So how do you think we like manipulate him into doing it? Because we think we have a responsibility on him because we know him and we know his parents. So that's my question.
Abdul Samad, thank you so much for bringing that up. You see, as individuals, we have a responsibility to people around us. And I'm very happy that he has brought this up. For some of you who didn't hear what he said one of the people he knows at school has decided to call himself an atheist. That is somebody who doesn't believe in Allah or in God. So he has no religion. Not only has he done this, but he has started abusing substances and hard drugs. I know that as young people, sometimes you are faced with, this. Remember we discussed about protection of the intellect. Protection of the intellect includes staying away from that thing which will impair your sense of moral judgment. Now, somebody who is high as a result of having taken some hard substance, difficult for them to have sound, what we call, repeat after me, sound judgment. Now, please let us stay away from, those substances. Allah has, our biology is such that it's a blessing for us when Allah has made us steady. Those people that take drug, they become high. They see the world in colors. And Allah is protecting, because when you do that, you're unable to reason logically. And drugs can lead to all of the other sins. For some people, it has led them into fun, led them into murder, has led them into, evil vices. If you know anybody, please run away from them, and you can help them by contacting maybe their parents or the school authority, somebody that is in authority that can help them. You can do this anonymous and tell the person you've told, not to pay for somebody that is emotionally intelligent. You can approach the imam of your community and tell them that you want to remain anonymous, but this is it. If you have a guidance and counseling unit in your school, you can approach the counselor, because these people, there is what we call confidentiality. They owe you the duty of confidentiality when you tell them this kind of things, and they have means of investigating these things without implicating you. So I would like us to have one-on-one conversation. Do you think his parents are aware that he takes drugs? So we need, we all it. Do you have a guidance and counseling unit in your school? Not that you think of. Okay, we need to have a meeting with people in your school. Sister Memuna, what do you think? Yes, so we're going to take it up. Please, let's have your contact. Do you have, okay, let's have your contact so that we can follow up. Please, at Sisters Halaqa, you can come to us with this sort of things, and we'll do our best to ensure that we follow up and help the individuals. Our numbers are on the flyers we shared. Because we, as a body, we are committed to influencing positive, epic outcomes in the next generation. And you can only do this if we have feedback from young people like this. If you're struggling with anything, you can stay back and talk to us one-on-one. We're ready to listen. And we're not just going to take it and tell your parents or anything. We can help you. Stay back if you have something important you want to discuss with us, or call our numbers. You can go to our page on Instagram and call our numbers. We'll do the best we can to help you. Because sometimes it's difficult for you to tell your parents some of these things. But also, when you want to approach this kind of difficult conversations, you can tell them that there is something really difficult that you want to discuss with them. You can even tell them that you want to go with them to see a counselor or a psychologist, that you want to tell them in front of the psychologist, so that the psychologist or counselor can mediate between you people. Please, don't keep quiet. Silence kills faster than whatever problems you're struggling with. No human being on the surface of the earth is perfect. Every person is struggling with something. Now, if you don't speak out, you're going to impair your mental health negatively. And you need your mental health to be balanced to achieve your goals in life, to even worship Allah, which is your core purpose for being here. So, does anybody have any other similar thing they want to share? So, thank you so much for being, open. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm sure we have learned a lot. From the questions asked and the answers, I can say we have a few things to take away. Sister Aisha believes that every individual has the capacity to be good and be great. But you can only achieve that through self-esteem and self-confidence. You know, I tell people that self-esteem, it starts from who you are. The way Allah has created you, by accepting who you are and be proud of yourself, anywhere you find yourself, you can achieve greatness. I should be proud of myself as a woman. I'm a girl. God created me as a girl. I should be very proud of that and not be thinking the other way around, maybe changing your gender. We hear of things that are happening today, but as Muslims, I'm sure we should be proud of who we are. I should be proud of my color. I'm black, and this is who God has created me to be. Anywhere I find myself, I should be proud of myself. With that, that's where you begin to build your self-esteem. I don't see people, because everybody is white, every girl is changing her color, I'm going to change my color. I should be able to walk and see myself and be proud of who I am. With that, you can build up into your career, into your life, and everything you do. I have this story, this personal story that I always want to share. Before then, what I believe is that what defines us? Our religion, Islam, should be the priority, should be what we should consider. Because Allah told us in the Quran that the Quran is a guide to the believer. So that is the first thing we should look at. As Sister Aisha has said, Sharia, the laws are there. So when you see the Quran as a Muslim, Islam is a complete way of life, isn't it? So as a Muslim, you should be proud of yourself as a Muslim and carry yourself as a Muslim anywhere you find yourself. In school, in your workplace, in your home, in the street. Let somebody see you without you saying that this is a Muslim, that she is a Muslim, without you mentioning it. Just by looking at you, dressing, or character, the way you talk should define you as a Muslim. So there's this story I want to share with you quickly. I had the opportunity of traveling to South Africa on a women engineering conference. I like sharing this story. Yes. And we were many. I think we were about 3 Muslim ladies among them. So we got to South Africa, and every other person, they were all doing their things. But we as Muslims, we carried ourselves anywhere we go as Muslims. The way we dress, when we are asked to dress wearing our suit, black abaya. When we walk, when we mix with men, because engineering profession where you have a lot of men, we know the way we carry ourselves. And there's this lecturer who went to one of their universities, and he came to us, to me in particular. He said, "Good morning, Mrs. Yakubu." So yes. I've been watching you, the way you talk. Okay, you can't hear us, right? Sorry. Hello, can you hear me now? The way you talk, the way you dress, and somebody told me that you are a Muslim. But I don't think you are a Muslim. And I was like, what? He said, yes. I don't think you are a Muslim. So I said, why? He said, but the stories we hear about Muslims, they are aggressive, they are terrorists. We've not seen it in you. And I told him that this is what Islam is all about. Are you getting me? What they have about Islam is different from what we are showing. People have told them that Islam is another way, but we have proved that this is it. Did we talk? No. We are Muslims, but it in us. You understand? Again, I had an opportunity of going to America again. You see? I'm telling you that everywhere you find yourself, your identity, So a friend of mine took me to go and eat. And as usual, I'm dressed in my hijab. So we go to the restaurant. Of course, when they brought the menu, it was well decorated with everything. And I quickly chose my own. And she went in to get our food. So a few minutes, she came back. She was like, "Excuse me?" I said, "Yes, can I help you?" She said, "I'm sorry, this menu you chose, I'm sure you're not going to like it." So I said, "Why?" "Because it's made with alcohol." Did I mention I'm a Muslim? What showed her that I was a Muslim? And she thought that she knows that Muslims don't take alcohol. She would have given me alcohol if I was dressing. She would have gone ahead to give me that menu. You understand? But because of her, she came back and she said, "I'm sure you're not going to, because this is made with alcohol." And I remained grateful to her, and I gave her 5 star for that. So you should, anywhere you find yourself, in your workplace, everywhere, you don't have to tell people that I'm a Muslim. By seeing you, they should be able to identify you. So that should be your identity, anywhere you go. So, mhm. And confidence. When we talk of confidence, hello, can you hear me? Yeah. Confidence is very, very important. That's one thing that will help you to achieve your goal in life. I'm sure you all have ambition. You all have your dreams, right? If you have the confidence that you can do it, Sasha just told us that every individual has the capacity to be great. You only need confidence. Just tell yourself that, Inshallah, I can do this. Somebody told me that she's going to be a medical doctor right from when she was born. And today she's studying medicine. She didn't allow her friends or her parents or anybody to influence her decision. This is what I want to do. And with prayers, Alhamdulillah, she's studying medicine. And in the near future, she will be a medical doctor. So that is what I want you to have. Have that confidence in yourself. Whatever you want to be now, you can achieve it. It all starts from you. So may Allah bless you. Quickly, I think it's almost time for Asr, if I'm not correct. Yeah. We'll go on a short break. We'll pray, then come back. Sister Asma is our next speaker. She's going to be joining us live from Dubai. And she will be talking to us on a negative influence on social media. So social media has become part of you. We cannot take that from you. So she's going to tell us how you can use it positively to make life better for yourself as you grow into adulthood. This is just to, uh, help you, train you, and advise you, give you on how to. How you can be a better. It is our responsibility, and Sisters Halaqa are doing their best to ensure that at least you get the necessary support and advice.
I don't presume I have a grandchild here. I don't think I'm that old. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I can't hear any answers, and answering salam in Islam is hard. Doing it is sunnah. I've done the sunnah. Can I hear some answers so we can do the first part? Okay, Sister Raman, are they answering? Because maybe they don't have a mic, so.
Wa alaikum salam.
Can you hear me? Okay. May Allah bless us all for being here. Inshallah, we'll be able to learn and understand what you want to teach us. And yeah.
Yes, presentation. Anyone? Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to speak. But remember, if you were here and you don't raise up your hand, Allah knows. He knows. Remember, there's an ayah that says Allah knows the black ant on the dark peach of the night. So Allah knows if you're here last night. Remember, who was here last year? I'm sure some of our kids were here last year. Okay. I want to give you, so if you were here last year. Anybody? I can't see the whole view. Is it possible I can see everyone at a time, or if it's going to distort it, then it's okay. I'll just carry on. But I wish I could see the whole angle. So I can put some people on the red seat, red spot. Hot seat, actually, they say. Okay, let me pass that. So I just wanted to ask the people that were here last year who was able to implement some of the things that we talked about. Because information without action is not, knowledge without action is not, does not help you put it into action, right? Please give me a nod. At least that's what I'm getting. Okay, thank you. So nobody was here last year, right? I'm just checking again. I'm sure our mothers would know. Anyhow, Sister Aisha, welcome back to the room. And I love the energy you created. And I'm still going to bask, inshallah. Yeah, Sister Aisha. Yes, my sister, my coach sister. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead. What we are talking about today is, who knows what my topic is, by the way? I need engagement. Okay, let me just say this. The five top people to engage the most, they're going to get something special from me all the way from Dubai. But it has a condition. The gifts have a condition. You have to meet a certain criteria, even if you engage. I'll with you one-on-one, and you're going to tell me the reason why you picked that gift, and it's yours. And it's what, let's forget about the monetary aspect, it's not important for now. Okay. What is my topic today? Anybody knows what is expected on this call? Anyone? Social media, did I read that? Lovely lady with the white scarf. Yeah? You can nod. Am I audible? I feel like I'm the only one here. I love interaction because I'm behind the screen. Okay, again, the 5 top people to interact the most get a gift from me. So let's gear up. Can I be able to share my screen, please? Organizers? It's possible. You can make me a co-host or something. So I can share. I hope you're not too tired from the break, had a lot of snacks or something. I hope no fizzy drinks, because then you're thinking of something else. Okay. I'm trying to share if we could get, if I'm able to share something. Can I be able to share my presentation, please? Not a presentation, actually. I don't like presentations at all. My images, my fun papers. I just love fun. I love pictures. I love images. I'm very visual. Can I? Presenter, can I share, please?
Yes.
Okay. No, I can't. Not yet. Not yet. I'm not able to. Am I able to be given permission to share, please? Mr. Tijani, can I share, please?
Yes.
Yes, I'd love to, but then I can't. If I made the host probably, or a co-host, something, or allow participants to share. Oh, thank you. Okay, Sister Amina, just so we don't do that. Yes, the cute girl, do you want to ask something? Okay, I thought she was raising her hand. Sister Amina, is it still being recorded? Because I don't want to make the same mistake as last year.
Come again.
Is this still being recorded? Remember last year I was made the host,
okay.
and then
yes.
Just checking. We're still good?
Yes.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. All right. Okay. I'd love to share this. So this is nothing serious. This is just how I keep myself full. Like I said, we all have different ways of learning. Some people prefer to learn by watching. That's me. That's visual. Some people prefer to just listen. For some of you, this may sound very distracting. So just do the one that best suits you. What is social media? Back to my question. What is social media to you? Just if you don't, you don't have to answer, but you can at least say it in your head. What do I think social media means? Because it's so much overused sometimes. And I'm even wondering, like my daughter said yesterday, is Netflix social media? Is TV social media? What is social media? Where does social media stop, and where does the line begin? Again, to something else. So what to you is social media? Today we are discussing, not talking, discussing about social media and the nuances and the tricks that all come with it. What do I think social media is? Let's see. Okay, so just a minute, I'm having problems with this. Hi, back. Okay. Okay. Yes, please, and I'll be back. Hi. Okay, I think I'm good. So I think social media is bad. I sort of believe that. I think social media is completely terrible. At least that's what I think for now. Okay, I'm admitting someone. Do you think so? Who's with me that social media is bad? Anyone who believes the same thing as me? Let me see who shares the same school of thought. Who believes social media is bad? Nod, no. I presume I'm not going to get answers to that. I know it's not going to be a yes. So no, it's not bad. There are two sides of a coin. So in essence, there's two sides to a story. When you have a concept or you always listen to different aspects of it. So yes, social media is coined as the negative effects of social media, but is it really negative? And that is where I seek the permission of my dear sisters, just for the sake of this slide, to cancel out, I'm having some feedback here, to cancel out the word negative. Let's, for the sake of this session, say, for now, just for the next 10 minutes, say, effects of social media. What does social media do? And why are we even using it? Why do we indulge? So many people, even though they don't realize such calls like this, and everybody says, yes, this looks very familiar. Does, at least if what I was saying was not making sense, does this look familiar to some of you? Again, let's be candid. Is this what most of us do most of the day? Yeah? I guess it's a yes. So, yes, it's not bad in itself, but there's a reason why we indulge in social media. So when we think of a negative thing, we always have to ask ourselves, but why do we even engage in it? I believe there's no action that doesn't have a reason behind it. So every behavior has a reason why we do it, even though some of those reasons may look bizarre to parents, weird to friends, and just sort of to other people make sense of it. And neither can we. Like sometimes we'll say, oh, I'm going to stop doing certain things, but do we ever stop doing what we're doing? And the reason why social media is like highly placed as being wrong, because it's all over the place. During my time, there was no such thing. So at least my parents had some peace with that. They didn't have to unravel, but why do the kids even go on social media? So what are some of the apps you use on social media? What are some of the platforms that you use on social media? Now I need three good answers or four. So Emina, please, can somebody have the mic? You can choose anyone. Sister Aisha, maybe I'll need you to pick on people for me, because this is something I think you're doing so well. Yes. Yeah. So anybody can share with me what platform do they use?
We didn't get the question.
Yeah, what platform do they go on? TikTok. So I didn't want to give out the name, but TikTok, is it TikTok or YouTube? My daughter said to me yesterday, don't tell them Facebook, that's for old people. Okay. TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, I heard. Not that I know them very well. What else? What else do you use on social media? So when you go on social media, what is it you go on, if you actually go on it?
Instagram.
Okay, thank you. Someone else, please? And keep your answer in mind, because I'm going to ask you later. The lady that said Instagram, please, what's your name? What's your name? The lady that said Instagram?
Nafisa Mohammed Aminu.
Nafisa? Okay, mashallah. Okay, from the gentleman, please. What platform do you use? The most. I know you go on, but the most.
Pinterest.
Pinterest. Ooh, I never even thought of that. Okay, what's your name, please?
Abdul Samad Ibrahim.
Sorry?
Abdul Samad Ibrahim.
Abdul Samad, okay. Okay, Abdul Samad. Oh, okay. I've got two people to hold to. Okay. But don't worry, it's nothing so challenging. Stuck again. Okay. So social media, we need to understand that it's just a tiny, mini part of our lives. And anything you do in excess becomes a problem. Social media is not a problem if you use it within boundaries. Sister Aisha talked a lot about keeping within boundaries in so many areas of your life, guarding your wealth, guarding your lives and everything. Same applies to social media, because everything that is in excess becomes a problem. Sleep is good. In fact, we advocate people have 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep, depending on what your type of circadian cycle, what your sleep cycle is like. But if it becomes too much, let's say you go to bed at, please, can you see my slide, Sister Maimuna?
Yes.
Good, alhamdulillah. Okay, you go to bed at maybe 10 o'clock. You don't go to bed at 10 o'clock. A lot of this age range would go to bed around 12 noon, and then you sleep till maybe 11, sometimes when there's school, when there's no school, when we're on vacation. That is excess. That is going outside your boundaries. We're asked to eat properly, but when we eat too much, it becomes a problem. We're asked to socialize, but when we socialize too much, it becomes a problem. So we have the different parts of our lives that we have to attend to. We have our spirituality, which alhamdulillah, Sister Aisha has laid a very beautiful foundation regarding that, and she's talked a lot about where you should be as a Muslim and a Muslimah. So spirituality is huge. Once you have that foundation, that is the best way for you to, you can be able to really fly. You have your family. Don't forget your family involves your extended family. So even though you have your siblings, you might say, yeah, but I'm related with my siblings, my mom and my dad. But in which way, what is the quality of the relationship? And how is social media take? The point I'm just trying to make now is, what are the other areas of your life that you need to focus on? Because you're like a bicycle with 2 wheels. I'll just give you an analogy here. Let's say a pictorial representation of what I'm saying. Assuming you have a bike, and that bicycle has 2 wheels. If there's a part of the wheel that has also some divisions in them, if it's a bike. If some parts of the wheel are taken out, is your bike going to roll like it should? Or take the example of a car. If you have a car and it has 4 tires, if 3 of the tires are not being taken care of, only 1 is being given the attention, do you think your car is going to move? I'm sure not. I'm sure you know it's not going to move. It's the same thing. We're like vehicles created by Allah, and there is a trust in all the things He has asked us to be doing. So your family, your friends, it's so important. You may say, yeah, but we get to talk on social media. But no, the connection, the one-on-one connection is what we're talking about. Then you have your academics. Again, how is social media taking you away from your academics? You may say, yes, but it's still coming on well, but can it be better if you are spending less time on social media? Again, we're going to come to that. And areas of your life, if you started your career already. Sister Aisha mentioned a gentleman here that's already started his business. I'm sure if he was not focusing on his business, if he was focusing on social media more than that business, he's not going to attain what he's attained now. But don't get me wrong here. He can still be focusing on social media in a functional way, learning stuff from social media so that it can help him with his business. That's a totally different story. And so your life has different areas of it. And we need to be conscious of that. And so social media, when it's used most of the time, from what I've seen, is that it's being used for fun, but it's an umbrella. Fun can come in so many ways. And fun is just a small area of your life, which you should still have. Because I believe from cradle to grave, you should still have fun if your health allows you. And most of our health declines anyway if we don't have hobbies, I would call them, for me. Yes, fun. Like I do dance with my kids now that I know music is haram, that's okay. I'll just tell them, let's just do some funny moves. And it makes us feel good. So we need to attend to different areas of our lives. This is so, so key. But why? This is from Allah. It's not from me. It's in the Quran. It's in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, first, have you made that you might be witnesses over the people and the messenger a witness over yourselves. This is in Surah Al-Baqarah 143. So what the word I want to highlight here is middle ummah, ummatan wasatan. That means you don't overspend time doing things. So this is not a tafsir session, and I'm not a scholar, but this is what I'm getting from this. This is what I tell my children all the time. Allah has already instructed you on how to carry on. So you always don't phones to the table, or when you're having family time in the car. So parents, this is for you. We really have to start slowly if it's not something you've already done. So Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 77, say, all people of the book, make no excess in your religion, trespassing beyond the truth, nor follow the vain desires of people who went wrong in times gone by, who misled many and strayed themselves from the even way. The word here is even. So we're all talking about Ummatan Wasatan here. We're talking about the middle, the Ummah that does everything in moderation. Moderation is key. Muslims are called Ummatan Wasatan. The commentators of the Quran explain the word wasat as justly balanced. So that was what I was explaining when I said if you have a car that has a tire that's moving, or if you have a bike that some of the wheels are bad, how are you going to move? So the essence of Islam is to avoid all extravagancies extravagancies on either side. It is the sober, practical religion. So extravagancies, most times when I was younger, like your age, I used to see extravagance as something that means overspending of money. But this is spending your time not in a wise way. So Allah has made this ummah a moderate ummah. Muslims have to. It's not from us. It's something we have to do, and we'll be accountable for it on the day of Qiyamah. Some of the things will be asked about our free time, our health, and our youth, how we spent it. And alhamdulillah, this is for the youth. So we are going to be accountable for all the times we spent. At your age, I used to think, oh yeah, I know about death, but it's like far, far away. And that I'm not trying to make this a doom presentation, but the truth is, once, like Sister Aisha said, after you reach the age of puberty, there are certain things that are mandatory on you. And this is part of it. You'll be asked about this. It's not when you grow up. So Muslims have to follow the middle path. Can you see the patterns of the words are coming back? The path that has no extremes or excesses. So no extremes. You shouldn't over be on the social media. You shouldn't excessively use social media. And reported by Al-Bukhari, the religion is easy, and whosoever will deal with religion harshly, it will defeat him. So be straight, follow the middle course, give good news, and make use of the morning. No oversleeping because you've been on social media all night. The evening or part of the night in prayer and in remembering Allah. And remembering Allah would be even after your Fajr, the first thing you do. I'm not going to ask you this because I may not even get an answer for this, but most times we reach out for our phones. That's the first thing we do in the morning. I'll tell you that why you may be doing that without even knowing, subconsciously. So many things we do are subconscious because we cannot be doing things consciously when we know it's wrong. I'm sure of that. That I'm sure of. But there's always a reason why we do things. So understanding that Allah has already told us we have to do everything in moderation is, I think, the basis for me. So what are the reasons why we go on social media? You may think it's to connect. Yeah. I'm not hearing responses, but very soon you're going to do some activities. I hate to call them exercises because let me give you time away from what they say in school. Let's do this exercise. Let's just call it activities. Reasons why you may be going on social media could be to learn. Yeah. To be updated on one thing or the other. All makes sense. To pass away time. So when you say to pass away time, sometimes I say, from what are you passing away time from? Away from what? These are things we have to be conscious of. Because so many things we do them like robots. Be inclusive. So I was at my desk the other day. I had already done autofocus. And I think I got bored or I got something. And the first thing I did, I just reached for my phone. And I said, what? Just pass away that time. And just move on to something else. I was getting bored or whatever. But the main for your phone, and why do you go on the platforms you go on? And again, I'm not questioning, because only you know you do it. And even at the end of this session, I will prefer the answers come from you. Because I want to, okay, you. Assalamu alaikum, darling. Hi. Are you Fadila? I presume you're Fadila. Oh. Yes. Fadila, I have to ask you to. Okay, I can't mute her. Oh, she's muted, alhamdulillah. Okay, or to share a small story that I would go on live because I just had something that I thought, oh my God, I want to share with people. I need to share my story. But what's changed? Because that's the only way you can talk to your inner self. There's somebody in there that's making you do these things, and those are your thoughts. And I guess Sister Aisha has done a lot on that. She said a lot on that. I've missed her video. I know she took you to a place probably where you realize, oh, so these things can actually affect me. And look, there's something about influence that you look at, like my daughter, she likes to do makeup. Fashion, it's within boundary. Have you at least left it to prayer? So it all depends on what they knew. What are you, what? Okay, what is it? Is it other studying? Yes, you use it to study. So this I brought at the end because, to be honest, when I asked my daughter, she did not say, she said, yeah, I wrote on to do this. And she said, oh yeah. Studying. I said, the fun aspect. I said, what else do you use it for? Research. Just connect from the world. They're keeping you away, turn to something, the other areas of your life, which we've mentioned. Okay. Now let's analyze. What are they? I think I've already analyzed them. Each one I wanted to see why you use them. What are the reasons why you do these things. So studying, for researching, for connecting, all these fall under certain, I'll say, beliefs or values or criteria or principles. Or let's say certain groups, just for the sake of this context, so I don't use some words and complicate it more. So let's analyze it. Why do we go on social media? Parents, I need you to give me like 5 extra years here. Because for me, when I learned this, it really helped me with my children. And other people, like when they say, okay, I had someone I was speaking with yesterday, and she said, you know, my son is, I think, okay, 24, 22, the 22-year-old, he's 22, but if I ask him to do certain things, he doesn't do them. Okay, if she asks him to do certain things, why isn't he leaving what he's doing? Because it's serving him something, obviously. But these are little things you need to also understand as parents. So much as I'm not saying that parents are not doing their jobs, I just want us to understand that, like I keep saying, with everything we do, there is a reason behind it, a positive one, because our brains are our soldiers. They're always trying to make us happy. So for as long as to do, it will keep focusing on what it feels that is the most resourceful, that is the best for you. Okay. So the negative effects of overspending time. So some of the things we mentioned were trying to spending a lot. Okay, let's even say, for the sake of this, spending a lot of time. When the more time you spend, I think Nafisa spends time on Instagram. Nafisa, what is one thing that you like to do when you are on Instagram? Nafisa, what is one thing that you like to do? And don't worry, all your answers are okay. Nobody is going to judge. No one. I'm just curious.
Well, I like to connect with my friends.
Oh, okay. With connection. Okay, connection. And is that, I'm sure there are other things, but is that the thing that you do the most? When you connect, you feel good?
Yes.
Okay. Because I know many people will say, oh, I like to look at fashion. I like to see designs. I like to see stuff. So listen to the words I'm using. Nafisa is saying she likes to connect. Let's write this word in red, because we're going to see it coming. It's like, Nafisa, I think you peeked into my presentation because you just picked up on a part. That's the main. So you're making my life easier here. But there are so many other reasons why people do it. So inadequacy and low self-esteem come from overspending time on social media, because you begin to compare yourself with others, and fear of losing out. You want to make sure that, am I good with time? Yeah. You want to make sure that I'm abreast of what's happening. Again, I'm going to tell you where this fits in. And we're going to rewind this slide when we've talked about what we've done. Isolation, it makes you isolated because you make friends and then they leave, and you're thinking, oh my God, I feel so lonely. And by the time you're back to your family, they're wondering, oh, okay, anyway, she's going to go on social media, and you're neither here nor there. And yes, this is a huge one, depression and anxiety. I can't say too much about this. I can't underestimate, the effect of this, but it is huge. Because you are not living your life as you. You're living your life as somebody else. Cyberbullying is on the rise, especially for the younger ones, even the older ones. Self-absorption, because you begin to be all by yourself, and everything you feel is all about what is in my head. And you're no longer that person that is objective, that sees the world the way it should be seen. Physical and mental stress, yes, I'm sure we all know this. Because you're thinking the first thing I do when I wake up, I have to go to my phone physically. You're always lying down. I just recently, a friend just recently told me that, you're not supposed to hold your phone like this. You're supposed to hold your phone like this. Okay, that was at my gym. And I told shoulder problems, and she said, because you're always like this. And I never knew that. And these are just a tiny, this is just a tiny effect of what social media does as compared to the myriad of effects it has on us. Productivity. Sister Aisha, you mentioned about being productive. So your productivity lowers in so many different areas of your life. Remember, keep thinking of those areas of your life that are being affected because you're excessively spending time on social media. Bad posture, just like I said. Eye strain. My daughter suddenly, my son developed, I don't know, not developed, well, we are short-sighted. So I had to take them to be checked by the optometrist. And she said, well, and I said, okay, so when are you going to give them the glasses? She said, it's way beyond that. They need to start putting some drops. I don't know, maybe we have some doctors on the call. I'm sure you know this. Because their eyes are very dry. And so even if they're using glasses, it's not going to be effective. You are between the ages of, let's say, for the sake of this, 10 to maybe 25 here for our children. But these effects are cumulative. They accumulate over time. And with time, you're going to find out that all the habits you're forming are going to determine how you are going to be when you grow older. And at the age of 25, 30, 35, 40, 50, 60, inshallah, if Allah spares our lives in good health, we'll begin to wonder. Then a doctor will be asking, do you do this a lot? Do you do this a lot? So spending time, yes, but the boundaries of spending it and then keeping away from it from time to time, taking rest in between. Unhealthy weight gain. And again, when my daughter saw this, she said, Mama, thank God you said unhealthy. Because it's not just weight gain. Yeah, because there's healthy weight gain. Some doctors will actually tell some kids, I think they need to give them some more pads because so unhealthy weight gain means you're gaining weight because you have a sedentary lifestyle. And I'm sure most people don't go around with their phones like this. Yes, people do. But most times the first opportunity you have to sit, you sit. Oh, Sister Maimuna, you want to say something? Okay, your hand is raised. Okay, so did we know about the fact that you choose to do what you do because you enjoy or you need what you do? And that was why I said we do everything because there is a positive reason behind it. Okay, Sister Maimuna, yes, please, you can say, talk to me, please. I'm all ears. Okay, probably a mistake. So what are these needs and why do we do them and why do we enjoy them so much? So we have 6 human needs. There are reasons why we do what we do. Sister Maimuna, this message keeps coming up that you raise your hand. Okay, maybe it's a Zoom thing. Okay. So Tony Robbins, who knows Tony Robbins here? Who watches Tony Robbins' presentation? Even from the parents, can I have hands up if anyone? Zara, Tijani, Saadatu. Who watches Tony Robbins, the famous coach, probably the #1 coach? Okay, so just to explain, a coach is someone that takes you, in a simple terms, that takes you from a place where you are to the place where you want to be, a more desirable place. So anyway, Tony Robbins came up with this 6 human needs. And what are they? All of us have things we do that makes us happy. But why is it that certain that you have the same, you have siblings? And the one sibling may enjoy one thing and the other doesn't. Why? Because we have these needs, but they are different for each child. My son Ibrahim is 10 and he's 11, inshallah, next week. Anytime we just relocated once. So when we relocated to where we are now, he would take his bike and move all around the estate for days. So, I mean, not for days. I mean, every day he would do it for maybe an hour or two. And it was hot. And I was wondering, why does he do this? Obviously, he didn't know. But I think sort of insightfully, he said to me some weeks later, he said, anywhere we move, I need to find out what is happening in the vicinity. So I went over here and over there, and I made sure I understood everywhere. That made me settle down. I said, oh, really? And now when I learned about these 6 human needs, I said, aha. So it was that need. But I remember I used to now take my car and follow him, and I'm thinking, come back, and what are you doing? Why are you on your bike? But he was happy. So obviously satisfying a need. It's the same thing as when you're hungry, you eat. When there's this physiological feeling that you want to yawn, you yawn. Nobody can stop you from yawning. Sneezing is serving a purpose. But we just understand them that, it's just it's just a bodily feeling that we have. And when you feel like, when you feel bored, you reach out to a friend. It's a need. Everything we do has a need. So the reasons you go on social media has a need. Sister Memona, you want to talk to me? I can't hear you. Okay. I can't hear you though. Sorry. Sorry? Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll just run through this. Okay. So my time is going. You can see how much I love this. So certainty was something my son had. He really, really wanted to be certain of his environment. So when we go on social media, most times when you wake up, I asked my daughter yesterday, I said, be honest. The first thing you do when you wake up, what do you do? She said, I do my fajr. Then what? I do this. Then what? I said, be honest. She said, yes, I reach out for my phone. I said, yeah. So your phone is because you feel certain that it's always there. So you reach out for it because your mom is not there, your dad is not there. So the first thing is certainty. This is what our phone gives us. And so when I always ask parents and say, how do you exchange this feeling of certainty with something else that makes more sense? Is it that you take away you ask them, keep your phone outside the room, and when you come back, and when you wake up in the morning, why don't you just come and say salam to me? At least then you are certain that I'm always there. So certainty is the first human need. And these are some of the reasons why you go on your social media, because it's always there, you're sure. Variety. I think Abdul Samad, I didn't ask Abdul Samad why he goes on Pinterest, but may assume because of time, I may assume it's because let me time myself, okay? It's because he wants to see, I think I use Pinterest for so many reasons, to see visuals, to see pictures, to see different items, probably. So variety is one of the reasons also you go on social media. So certainty, variety, parents, please note and try to understand where the children are coming from. Significance. And so Sister Aisha also talked about significance in such a way that she said we need to feel significant in the eyes of Allah on the day of Qiyamah. I'm sorry, this is not verbatim, but this is something that I got from it. Significance because we want to feel significant in the eyes of the world. This is normal, it's a human need. But we all need to do within reason. What is the reason why we take pictures of ourselves and post? Because we want to feel significant to the world. But we have to do it within the context of our values. As Muslims, we can't just be posting pictures. It's become so rampant now. It makes my heart bleed the way I see girls dancing and exposing themselves. Remember, we are going to die. And these people that you are exposing yourselves to may not even send you a prayer in your qabr. So if you want to be significant to people and not significant in the eyes of Allah, it's costly. Because Allah said the mu'min is the person that displeases other people to please me, while the munafiq is the person that displeases me to please people. So who would you rather be? Who would you want to be significant to? Love and connection. So this is why I said in the piece, so hold on to this question. How connected do you feel? How much connection do you need when suddenly you reach out to your friends on social media and you want to have some love and connection? And it's okay, but within reason also. Growth, and this is where academics comes in. You want to grow, you want to learn, and this is good. You can never have too much of this. So while the first four are our emotional needs, the last two are spiritual, growth and contribution. So I know sisters Halaqa, mashallah, barakallah, they've been doing this for so many years. They are contributing. It's a human need. Maybe after this topic, that's been so much drama. I overheard some of my sisters saying, when we are not able, sometimes this is a walk of shame. Fine. Because he knows this. Why did they still hang on despite all the glitches? Because contribution is huge for them. So, because for the sake of this, I may just have to hurry, but leveling up is what we just need to do for you. So tell your children, I'm here to talk. Go into your children. Topmost human needs for them. Identify them based on the words they use. The piece is said to connect. How else do I give her connection if she's not with her friends so that she will come to me or her dad or her somebody not on social media? And like I said, I can't give you the answers, but these are little nuances when we begin to understand why we do what we do. We parents, we're here to talk. Tell us. If it's about significance, I praise your children. I know you do, but find out what part of praise does she like that she may not be getting. And don't get me wrong, I know you're praising them. And even though we praise them a lot, I know social media praise is different. But maybe we can find tips and tricks on how when we already know what they're looking for. Because by the time you know why a child is crying, then you solve 50% of the problem. So let's become the vessel of the 6 human needs. Let the 6 human needs come from us and not from social media. And it is what it is. Social media is here to stay. It's not going to go. It's just going to get more. And we as parents just need to understand what need it's serving and how we can be able to come in between that need and the social media and whatever they're doing on it. So the only thing that I would want you to take away from today's class, if nothing else, is anytime you reach for your device, ask yourself, what is it serving me? Which of these needs is it? And you're free to take my number so that you can say, I didn't understand the word certainty, because 6 human needs is a session I take for hours, to be honest. 40 an hour, 40 minutes to an hour will not do the justice, but I just want to make you understand, and also parents, for you just to understand that this is also, Sister Emina is raising her hand again, up one for taking more time than I should have. But so the only takeaway is that find out why you're doing the things you're doing and understand how else you can be able to do it in a better way that will serve different areas of your life. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you so much. And so my money is not going to get out of my pocket because I did not have interaction. Maybe next time, inshallah, you will be more open to interacting. Okay, thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Jazakallahu khairan. At-takbir.
Wa iyyakum.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sister Asma.
Thank you.
Whole presentation by Sister Asma on negative influence on social media. Nobody is stopping you. Nobody is asking you to drop your phone. Now the phone has become part of you. Nobody is going to take it away from you. we have to accept that fact. But it is our responsibility to tell you where to go and where not to go. You know, just like she said, you can use your phone productively and let it be a vessel of human needs if you get her right. So you see, while using your phone, you should not go to sites that are not meant for you. Go to where you get things that are beneficial and wait for your time. You cannot be going to sites where married couple are. Are you married? So you wait when you're about getting married or you're married, go there. You should be. So that's it. Like I said, we are not taking your phone away from you. While using your phone, what I advise my children is, like my phone is accessible to anybody. I can throw my phone and anybody can access it. I'm not afraid of somebody, mommy is going to see it, daddy is going to see it, my husband is going to see, or my child is going to see. Okay, thank you. So I know the site I go to. I have children, I have husband, so I know what I'm doing. So that's it. You shouldn't be afraid of your mommy picking your phone. When your mommy picks your phone, she should be glad she did and not be, wow, is this what my child has been doing? And again, she said, you should not spend the whole day, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock on your phone. You should have time to rest and when to use your. Like, I'm giving you an example. If you pick my phone, you will see people like Mufti Menk. Mufti Menk, motivational quotes. Sisters Halaqa is there. Islamic quote is there. Other things that are related to my profession and other things that will help me improve my marriage. You understand? So when I wake up in the morning after prayers and everything, even the Nigerian news, by the time I go through all this, I don't have time to go and start looking at other. Did I download any site that I'm not supposed to be there? By the time Mufti Men gave its advice, I looked at it, I take it along with me. Sisters Alaka will send, somebody will send prayer. I said, I get my reward, isn't it? So I didn't download sites that I'm not supposed to be there, that will help me go to the other way and not help me go to Jannah. So this is what we are asking you to do. Nobody is saying that keep your phone. Like he is saying, he's into a textile. So by the time he used social media to advertise his product, he's gaining a lot, isn't it? So this is all what we are saying. So you have to be careful and wait for your time, please. You cannot be in secondary school and you'll be looking at what university students are looking at. It will get your turn. When it gets your turn, you can go there. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Unfortunately, the network was not too clear. But those of you that listened to Sister Asma last year, I'm sure you can remember that she did a very beautiful listen. So the presentation is okay. And without wasting time, we still have one speaker, Sister Zuleiha Yusuf. Sister Zuleiha, are you here? Oh, okay, she's here. So quick, she's going to take us on crime and punishment with regards to Sharia law and laws. You see, we need to educate you. We are not saying that we are teaching you law. But wherever you find yourself, you should understand law of. Most of you are schooling abroad. You don't go to a country where standing with a girl or holding it, and other countries are where it is just a normal thing. And you find yourself in trouble. So she is here to tell us the consequences of some of the things we engage in without us knowing. What does the Sharia says, and what does the law of the land says? What other countries may take as a crime, it may be nothing in other places. Some countries will not allow you to smoke, others is a normal thing. So wherever you find yourself as a Muslim, you have to understand the laws and the laws of the land. So Sister Zuleha Yusuf, she works with a customary court here in Abuja. She's a barrister, a mother, a sister, and she's a writer. I will give you the list of her books. Now that you're on holidays, you can go through her books and you find them very interesting. Please join me in welcoming Sister Zuleha Yusuf. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. It's my pleasure to be here with my younger brothers and sisters or children, because I'm sure I'm old enough to be their mother here. I'm glad to be here, and I hope that the short time I have, I'll be able to go through issues of criminality and committing crime. The thing is that we have to be conscious of everything we do at every point in time. Like she rightly mentioned, if you live in a country where a particular thing is not a felony, it's just a normal thing, you have to be careful if you go somewhere else where that thing is a crime so you don't fall into trouble. And as youths, we know that Shaitan is ever after our souls. The point is that for somebody to follow the straight path up to Jannah, there are going to be hurdles on the way, and there are going to be challenges. And in one of the hadiths of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says that one of the 6 people that will be under the shade of Allah on the day where there will be no shade, where the sun is going to be melting down our skins, is one person a youth that is attached to the mosque. We can interpret that to mean that a youth that always wants to be where Allah is being spoken about. So it is important for us to try as much as possible to follow that path and to be among those that Allah will be pleased with on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Now, like she rightly said, I'm a legal practitioner, barrister and solicitor entitled to practice anywhere in Nigeria, solicitor of the Supreme Court. I'm a customary court judge. I work with the FCT Judiciary. I practiced law for some time before I joined the bench. If you are practicing as a lawyer, appearing before judges, you are on the bar. If you are adjudicating cases, you are on the bench. So I'm on the bench. Now, I want to take us through the consequences of some specific crimes because this is very important. Many times as young people, we just do things because we want to do it, because we want to have fun, because we want to live our lives, because we want to dare to be different. But in doing this, in living our lives, in being happy, in having fun, we must realize that there are consequences for everything you do. And for a Muslim, there's something we call tazkiyatun nafs, checking your soul, constantly asking yourself, what does Allah think about what I'm doing right now? And after you think about what Allah thinks, you also think, what does the law say? Because it will be very, very disastrous if your whole life you are confined to prison, or you have to go and serve a jail term because you did something you did not realize was a serious offense. There are many things to consider, but I will take some specific crimes. First of all, let me even define exactly what a crime is. A crime is an offense against the law. So yes, it's okay to drive around and just, cruise and just relax. But it is an offense when you go and bash somebody's car or you run into somebody. It becomes an offense. So for every act we do, there's the negative side, and we must always continue. Just the way we are checking our souls, that let me not sin against Allah, you also have to check yourself not to sin against the law of the land. So we say a crime is an offense against the law, and this includes all offenses against either the Constitution or the criminal or penal codes. You know, under the law, we have civil offenses and then we have criminal offenses. Now, the criminal offenses are guided by the criminal code for the southern Nigeria and then the penal code for. And the reason why there is difference is because, for instance, in the north, Islamic law somehow encroaches upon the practice of the law. So that while adultery may be a crime in the north, it may not be a crime in the south. That's why there is that distinction, because of the different jurisdictions of the law. A crime is an offense that merits community condemnation. A crime is something you have done that everybody is frowning upon it. Everybody is saying, no, she shouldn't have done this or he shouldn't have done that. That's what a crime is. That's what makes you know that something is wrong. When as a whole, the community in general says that, no, we do not accept this kind of behavior. So you know that it's a crime. And it attracts punishment, usually by way of either a fine, you have to pay a fine, or imprisonment. So where that act you have committed, your act of omission or commission, causes you to self-punishment or causes you to be condemned by everyone, it means that it has become a crime. This is different from a civil wrong, which we call in law a tort. There's the law of torts where you commit just civil offenses, like, for instance, slapping somebody now is a civil offense. It's not a criminal offense. You cannot be jailed for, but the person that you've offended can take action against you. When you slander and insult somebody, let's say you write in a newspaper that, oh, that person is a prostitute, why she's not, she can sue you to court, but it's a civil offense. Meanwhile, if it was that you killed her, it would be a criminal offense. I hope we understand the distinction. So for a civil offense, you may just need to compensate the person. Let's say you run into somebody's building and you destroy the building. You may need to pay compensation or restitution. But if it is a crime against the state, it is Nigeria that is prosecuting you. It is not your neighbor that is suing you. Then it becomes a criminal offense. Criminal offenses are normally prosecuted by the state, whereas for civil offenses, it is the person that you offended that is going to sue you. And the person can choose not to. But for a criminal offense, the state must take you to court. So when you kill somebody, it's not enough to say that the people that are related to the person have said they should leave it. No. If you willingly, when there's mental element, menstrual, you willingly and intentionally committed that murder, you would have to be sued by the state on behalf of the dead person. And so a case in point, for instance, of thinking about the consequence of our action, there was a very popular case some years back where a popular lady was said to have killed her husband, and because of a marital dispute. I'm sure all of us heard about that case. It is not enough for the family of her husband to say that we have forgiven her. The state must make her pay for what she has done. So that is why we need to always think before we do anything. So let me go through some crimes. Of course, those of us that are here, alhamdulillah, the fact that we are Muslims has largely regulated us, that's helped us a lot. We have to always thank Allah. When I think of those who school abroad, I imagine that they will be bewildered by the kind of things they see around them, where people come openly do things that are so terrible to the thinking. So I'm imagining that it will be difficult, for you to be able to accept and swallow the things you see around you. So we have to thank Allah that we are Muslims in the first place, that we were born in Muslims, that we have the Quran to guide us. Because where you don't have a sacred book to guide you, it makes people to behave in a way akin to animals. Armed robbery, for instance. Inshallah, nobody here will ever be called people of armed robbery, but I will just give you what the law says. Because a lot of young people, in their bid to get a lot of money, do things that we do not expect people to do. I'm always afraid when I hear of 15, 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old guys so desperate to make millions. And I'm like, what exactly do you want to do with that kind of money that will make somebody to take his own sister's son, keep him hostage with some of his Raz friends, and then start to demand from his sister money that is so big for your own nephew? When I hear these stories, I'm like, what exactly is the mentality? Of course, everybody likes money. Everybody likes to live the good life. But we have to have a restriction in our desire for this dunya, because we know that we're not going to go with it. This dunya is so temporal that it is not enough to commit the kind of crimes some people commit. And if that guy ends up spending 50, 60 years in prison, it is useless. He wasted his life because of attachments to material things. So as youth, it is very important to have willpower, the power to stand out, the power to say, no, I'm not going to go with what every other person is going with. For armed robbery, I said that the punishment in the Nigerian Criminal Code is death, especially where it is armed robbery that occasions death because you were carrying an ammunition. There are different categories of theft. Armed robbery occasioning bodily harm to somebody else because you were carrying an ammunition, the penalty is death. Penalty is also the same thing as punishment. It is immaterial whether the offender was a participant, you aided it, you abetted it, you counseled the person to do it, or you procured the information by which the person committed the offense, you have the same punishment. So that's why sometimes there's armed robbery and there's conspiracy. There's the conspirator that, for instance, let's say a bank security man that gives info to an armed robbery, they will be prosecuted together. It will be state versus the main person's name and 7 others. All those that were involved, they will all be prosecuted. The Robbery and Firearms Special Provisions Act categorically states that any person who commits the offense of robbery shall, upon trial and conviction, if he's tried and convicted, you may be lucky not to be convicted, but if you are convicted by the court of the land, you'll be sentenced to imprisonment for not less than 21 years. If the offender is armed with firearms or offensive weapons, or is in the company of somebody that is so armed, or immediately before or after the time of the robbery, he wounds or uses personal violence on the person, then you are liable to be convicted to be sentenced to death. The section also goes on to specify that the sentence of death imposed under the section may be executed by hanging or by firing squad, as the governor of the state may direct. I'm going to be jumping. I have so many quotations from the Constitution, from the Criminal and Penal Code, and from all the acts regulating offenses, and there will be no time to go through them. One of the unique provisions of the Robbery and Firearms Act is that it makes it an offense for any person to knowingly accommodate, shelter, or give quarters to any person who has committed an offense of armed robbery. And that's why if an armed robber robs a bank and is running towards your house, you are supposed to not allow the person to enter, because if you knowingly accommodate somebody while he's still bearing the firearms that he used in the commission of the offense, then you become culpable. So that is why good company also matters. I'm going to be juxtaposing it with Islamic provisions where the Prophet ﷺ says that the company you keep is like somebody that is going and then he enters a perfume shop. You may not buy perfume from that shop, but by the time you go outside, you're going to be smelling nice because of the company you kept. Whereas bad behavior is like you are going and then you go to a blacksmith shop and go and sit down with him. And as he's doing all his blacksmithing, the charcoal and all the dark things he has used will stain your white clothes, and then you come out looking so dirty and scruffy because of the company you keep. This is the example the Prophet uses. So that when you keep company with bad people, some people will have friends, and their friends are very rash and criminal, and they are saying, no, you're just my friend, I don't follow them to do, I don't drink, I'm a guy, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, but my friends do, and I'm just keeping. No, you can't keep company with them. There is no how it will not rub off on you. It will rub off on you somehow. It will rub off on you. And if, for instance, they commit an offense and then they run to, maybe they are your roommates, they run to your room, or somehow they hide whatever they hid in your possessions, you become culpable, and there is no how. We have heard of many young Nigerian men killed, sentenced to death by firing squad in Malaysia, in Saudi Arabia, in countries where they don't take that rubbish. They don't allow it. They don't want their citizens to be corrupted by drug abuse. So when Nigerian children go there and start to misbehave, they do not pity. The Nigerian government may rant and talk and say, no, you must release that, but they will not release that kind of person. And some of these young men did not actually commit the crime. It was their friends that committed the crime. So that is why the company you keep is so very much important. You cannot be good and then you keep company with people that are not, and then you say, well, they are just my friends. Section 2, subsect 3 of the Criminal Code makes it an offense for any person to possess firearms, real or imitation, so that if somebody goes to rob using a toy gun that looks like a machine gun, he will still be punished as if he was carrying a deadly weapon. So these are the things that young men and women do without realizing the consequences. I'm always very appalled when I hear of a young man being sentenced to death or to long terms of imprisonment. It's almost as if he doesn't have a second chance at life. It's gone. I'll go quickly to kidnapping because that's the reigning thing now. I just mentioned something about a young man who was said, he's just 18, who was said to have kidnapped his own nephew. And this is a boy that will call you uncle and you carry him and play with him and all that. But because of this inordinate desire for big money, everybody wants to blow and just, there's a stage you get to, like Sister Aisha was saying, there's a stage you get to and then it's called delayed gratification, where you will have all the things that you want to have. Okay, sorry, it was Sister Mewina that was saying it, that you cannot be, for instance, 18 and be looking at what people that are 30 and above are looking at. There's a distinction. We get to stages in life. So for a young man who has not done anything to want to drive the same car that his father, who is a director and has worked for 45 years, is being unreasonable. We need to wait. And this is the problem we're having with the youth, particularly when it comes to materialism. It's something that we need to curb. We need to ask Allah to make us content with what we have or what our parents are able to provide for us. Many times in private universities, we hear of all kinds of stories of young girls, innocent-looking young girls, 17, 18, 19, 20, going after rich men. And a 21-year-old girl was even said to have killed her sugar daddy very recently, one choma. And it was said that she collected, I can't remember, whether 2-3 million from the man's account and then went. This is something that is very common. It happens all the time. And I'm wondering, why exactly couldn't she have been satisfied with what her parents had given her? We need to always control our urge to live the big life. Kidnapping, section 273 of the Penal Code provides that whosoever kidnaps or abducts a person shall be punished with imprisonment for a time which may extend to a period of 10 years. And section 274 says that the abducted victim, if the abducted victim it was with the purpose of being killed or put in danger, then the kidnapper shall be punished for a time which may extend to 14 years. Meaning that if you kidnap somebody and then the intention was just to collect ransom, it's different from where your intention is to actually kill. So everything is provided for under the law. Of course, again, in Nigeria, we say that the kind of corruption we have can make somebody to go scot-free. But as we saw in the case of Mary and Sanders, sometimes you may be very highly placed, and if Allah decides that you will get your due punishment, even if you get free in this world, we know that before Allah you are not going to go free. So that is enough to make us scared. Let me quickly move from kidnapping. I'm very sorry, I'm jumping because I need to be somewhere by 3, so I can't give my full lecture, but I hope you gain from this. Cybercrime, Yahoo, Yahoo Plus, Yahoo Plus Plus, and all the different categories of cybercrime. First of all, cybercrime is the electronic crime using computers. It may be an attack to a system of a corporation or individual attack, or it may be identity theft, where you steal somebody's identity in order to transact business on his account and all that. There are many categories of cybercrime. There's scamming, there's the Nigerian 419 that people have known us all over the world and is giving us a bad name. There is hacking, there is malware, there is ransomware, there is introducing viruses to systems of companies and banks in order to steal their information and so many other types. So there's an act, in Nigerian Cybercrime Act of 2015, which prescribes the death penalty for an offense committed against a system or network, especially if it's connected to government. For instance, in the US, if you are somehow to break into the CIA's database or the FBI or NASA or many of their institutions, it will be death penalty because you are threatening the security of that country. Under the Cybercrime Act, hackers, those that hack people's systems, if you are found guilty for unlawfully accessing a computer system, you are liable to a fine of up to 10 million naira or a term of imprisonment of 5 years, depending on the purpose of the hacking. There's also provision for identity theft, or the punishment of 3 years imprisonment or a fine of 7 million. Pornography, child pornography, because some people just want to corrupt humanity. So they will take pictures of naked children, innocent children, and start to spread it all over the internet. Because there are some pedophiles, some people that are, I would say they are sick in the brain. They like to derive pleasure from viewing sexually explicit content of underage children. So that's the cybercrime. It's a kind of crime in the computer sense. They call it child pornography. The punishment is imprisonment of 10 years and more, and a fine of not less than 20 million naira, or both fine and imprisonment, depending on the nature of the act. That's producing, procuring, distribution, and possession of child pornography. I think there was a very popular case recently. I can't remember who it was. I think it was a politician that was said to have been arrested in Dubai or somewhere because in his system there are pictures of naked children. I heard about it, but I can't remember exactly the name of the person, but he's a popular politician. There's cyber stalking and cyber bullying, where some people will be sending threatening messages to people on the computer. I'm saying this because this is your age. You people are the ones that own the internet. You own everything that technology has to offer. So it is a common crime. The Nigerian cybercrime prohibits cyber squatting, that is registering or using an internet domain name with bad faith. For instance, you create a domain name for GTB Bank in order to be able to siphon money from the accounts of their customers. Distribution of racist material on the public through computer, e.g. Facebook or Twitter. Prohibition of threats of violence or insulting statements to people based on their race, religion, color, descent, or national or ethnic origin. All these ones are cybercrimes, and they are punishable with very heavy fines of imprisonment. There are also crimes like fornication and adultery, mainly in the penal code, if not in the criminal code. And the Matrimonial Causes Act also forbids married people from engaging in illicit affairs, even though sometimes it may not be punishable in some jurisdictions because of their beliefs and the relaxed way they view sexual offenses. I'll move again to terrorism. And terrorism reminds me of the case of Farouk Mutallab, a young man that was studying abroad that was alleged, I'm not sure if the crime was actually ever proved, but he was alleged to have tried to join the Islamic State in Syria to go and be fighting against American interests and all that, which is considered terrorism in today's parlance. So, but now he's locked away somewhere. I don't know if he will ever regain his freedom, but those are the things we should watch out for. Because even as Muslims trying to defend Islam, you have to know what groups you subscribe to or the kind of people you're interacting with. Somebody may even set you up, because you're expressing religious views on the internet. The person sees you as a fundamentalist, and before you know it, the person starts interacting with you. You have to always be very careful. As Sister Maimuna said, you have to always be very, your activities should be restricted to developing yourself, building yourself spiritually, financially. People make a lot of money from phone. We have to think of how can I make money? How can I develop my skills? There are many courses you can think of. You can still be 18. You can still be seeking admission to university, and then you have gotten so many other degrees from online institutions. You can be a student of Oxford while you are still here. You can be in Yale. You can be in Harvard. You can study from any part of the world. So there are a lot of things we can do. If you're a writer, you can write an ebook. I remember I was trying to publish a book. Like she said, I've written 4 or 5 books. Some of them are ebooks. Some are in hard copy. Some I just distribute them in PDFs. Now, to publish is very difficult unless you have a publishing firm company that will take it up for you. So I decided to self-publish. Let me try it. I did it on Amazon, and then again, just ordinarily, after doing all the formatting and all that, I decided to just sell my ebook for 1K. And then in 1-2 months, up to 400, 500 people bought it. So multiply that by 1,000 naira, and then I was able to publish the other one in hard copy. I write on relationships. I've written identifying red flags in relationship before you marry. For those that are in relationships, I've written for married people, coping mechanisms when you are in a difficult marriage, the realities of divorce, Once Upon a Muslimah. This one is a novel. And then I hear young people always saying that there are no Islamic novels, and I'm wondering, but there are so many. I see so many. In fact, you people are lucky now. When we were younger, the kind of Islamic books you will see are the abstract books that you cannot really understand, where you will see the fundamentals of Islamic jurisprudence, and you cannot understand what the author is writing. But these days, there are so many books, so many Islamic books. I like to go to, there's a school in Kaduna Estate, Great Heights Academy, because I know the principal. And when I enter their library, I'm so happy to see the kind of books they have there. So you have books. It's just to go to library. I'm saying this because I'm a book addict. I'm a readaholic. That is my hobby. That is what I try to make money from. If you read a lot, you will see that there are a lot of materials that can inspire you. You read motivational books, you occupy your time, you journal, you write, and before you know it, you just see yourself being far above your peers because of the level of your intellect. So the punishment for terrorism under the Nigerian law, it is specified under the Terrorism Prevention Act of 2011. It was in conformity with the United Nations guidelines against terrorism. It can range from, because terrorism is such a serious crime, you are not just killing one person, it's a crime against the country. So the punishment can range from 20 years to death sentences, depending on the severity of the case. Under this act, there are different types of punishments. For instance, the Boko Haram fighters and all those other people that are committing actions against the state, wiping out whole villages, destroying government buildings and all that, the punishment specified for those kind of active participants is very high. Section 2 of that Anti-Terrorism Act provides that any person who knowingly in or outside Nigeria willingly does, attempts, threatens any act of terrorism, commits an act preparatory or in furtherance of an act of terrorism, is liable on conviction to a maximum of death sentence. He'll be sentenced to death. So I'll move quickly to another offense again, which is the offense of rape. It's a sexual assault in which a person is forced to engage in sexual relations against his or her will without having given consent. Often the attacker will use physical force in committing rape. However, it can also occur where somebody uses threats of violence or emotional force or manipulation to engage the individual. All forms of rape are wrong and illegal. I'm very happy that in Lagos State, there are very severe crimes for rape. Because of the rising cases, so they promulgated a lot of acts and bills so that even the offender will not live freely again. They have a sexual offenders file, a very big logbook, wherein they will put the picture of the person that has committed rape before, so that forever it will be on record. It will be on record that he has committed this crime. He cannot be allowed, to move about freely. And I'm hoping that other states in the Federation will also make such acts. And then the victims to get compensated by the government. That's under the Lagos State Anti-Rape Act. Section 358 of the Criminal Code Act provides that any person who commits the offense of rape is liable to imprisonment for life. Section 359 says liable to 14 years. There are many provisions of the act against rape, but the important thing is that somebody is forcefully, without the consent of the victim, forcing somebody into sexual relation, whether it is if it is a minor, it's even worse. But there is nothing like because there is nothing like consensual sex with a minor, with somebody that is below the age of 18. So for that one, it will even be grouped under pedophilia. Under the Islamic Criminal Code, there are 3 categories for rape. There is the had of zina. The had of zina is the punishment for zina, normally where they will say 100 strokes of the cane or stoning to death in case of a married person. Then there is also hiraba as penalty for rape. The Maliki School of Thought and At-Tabari have classified the crime of rape not as a subcategory of zina, but it's a separate crime under hiraba. That's forcible and violent taking of somebody. And it is described in the Quran 5 verse 33 as a fasad. That's a very destructive mischief. You know that in Islam, there's something called Makasud Sharia, the pillars of the Sharia. The Sharia wants to preserve 5 things. It wants to preserve your life. And that is why it is haram to kill or to kill yourself. To kill another person or to kill because Islam wants to always preserve life. It is haram to do anything that will cause somebody to lose their lives. Apart from life, the Quran, the Sharia wants to protect your intellect. Life, property, intellect, your religion, your chastity. So any crime that makes you to lose any of these things is punished severely under the Sharia. For the intellect, for instance, anything that will make your mind not be normal, Islam doesn't want it. And that's why taking alcohol or getting drunk is a crime. Taking hard drugs is a crime. People will try to excuse a lot of things. They will say that, no, smoking was not specifically mentioned, and shisha, and all these other things. But the fact is that it takes away your intellect at a particular time, and that makes it haram. So we should not allow anybody to persuade us, because I hear a lot of young people saying that, well, my father smokes, and I believe it's okay, because no, anything that causes harm to you, to any of these 5 things, these 5 maqasid in Sharia, anything that causes harm to them is a crime. The reason why rape will be a crime is because it goes against somebody's chastity. And part of the Sharia wants to maintain people's chastity. That is why zina, adultery and fornication will also be a crime. So this is the thinking behind the Islamic law. And we know that the Islamic law comes directly from the Quran, from Allah. Murder, which is the biggest of all. Section 319 of the Criminal Code says that subject to the provisions of this section, any person who commits the offense of murder sentenced to death, where an offender, in the opinion of the court, has not attained the age of 17 at the time he committed the offense, guilty of murder, he shall not be sentenced to death, but shall be detained upon such order being made, the provisions of Part 44. This one provides for juvenile centers. Instead of taking a small child who has killed somebody to a prison where he will become a hardened criminal, they will rather put him in a juvenile center where he will be reformed and will be taught some skills so that he can change from that kind of thinking. Under murder, there's also what is called manslaughter. Murder is a higher form. Manslaughter is where you accidentally kill. Any person who commits the offense of manslaughter is liable to imprisonment for life. There's also culpable homicide, where you are culpable of causing the death of somebody in any way, accidentally or otherwise. If the doer of the act knew or had reason to know that death will be the result of the act or bodily injury, let's say you are beating somebody and you know that the way you are beating this person is going to end in death, that's culpable homicide punishable with death. But if you just slapped somebody and you did not realize the person would die, that will be manslaughter and it will just be life imprisonment, not death. So these are the categories of offenses. I only mentioned 7 because I don't want to go too far and because there's no time. But then I would just give instances of where people have overlooked certain things. I mentioned the case of Farouk Mutallab, who was alleged to be a terrorist. I mentioned Maryam Sanda, who murdered her husband. Then I mentioned the young man who was said to have kidnapped his nephew and has now been imprisoned to life imprisonment. Of course, even if his sister wants to forgive him for kidnapping her son and demanding 10 million from her husband, the state is not going to allow her to forgive him. So yes, her younger brother is going to go to prison for life because he tried to steal her son. So these are the kind of things that destroy society. Do you think that family will be normal again? They will never be normal again. You hear of brothers who have taken carnal knowledge, try to have sexual intercourse with their own sisters, fathers, with their daughters, grandfathers. These are things that destroy the society. So even if Islam does not make them haram, the fact that it destroys the foundation of family is enough for us as human beings to stay away from those kind of things. Recently, I heard of a young girl too. This one is related to drugs now, who her parents had been looking for 2 years, and suddenly she calls out of the blues and says that they should send money to her into an account. Thank God for the BVN system. They were somehow able to trace this boyfriend and then get to where she is, and they see her in a very terrible state. You know, for those 2 years, although somehow it's the parents' fault because she was said to have finished so early. You know, all these double promotion schools that have basic 4, there's no basic 5, basic 6. So you are jumping this child to secondary school. At 14, she's writing JAB. At 15, she's in university. Some at that very young age also get sent abroad. And I'm just thinking that it is not fair on the teenager. Because Allah says that they are a manna for you. You're supposed to take care of them till they become able to stand on their own. And so this girl gets to the university abroad, and then she's just 15. Somehow people drag her into vices that she cannot control herself. As long as Allah has given you intellect, a brain, you have to always be conscious of everything you do. I think it is important to set goals, even as a young person, because what will distinguish you from your peers is the fact that you had a vision, you had a goal, you had focus. While people were just living their lives, doing what they like, having fun, you were determined to succeed. So it doesn't matter whether you came from a rich home or a poor home. What will set you apart is your determination and your grit, your stoicness, consistency in following a particular path that you have. You chose that path for yourself. This is what I want to do. You are reading medicine. At the same time, you want to be an entrepreneur. You are reading law. You are studying computer engineering. At the same time, you want to do this. It's all possible, especially in today's world. You are lucky. You are in a generation of opportunities. You can achieve anything that you want to achieve, except if you don't want to. There is technology at your fingertips. You can do whatever you want to do. So we have to always be conscious of yourself. Recently, again, I heard of somebody who was arrested, an undergraduate of University of Abuja with her boyfriend. They are non-Muslims now, and they are said to make drugs into cookies and sell them to children. And majority of their victims are Muslim children, and it just breaks my heart. Though I'm happy that they've been arrested and they will definitely suffer for it. But these are the things that are happening around you that you have to open your eyes. It is not enough to go through life just, just living your life simply. No, you have to be determined and you have to be focused. Again, I had cause to counsel a woman that was very devastated because she was taking her son to psychiatric hospital. Now, this boy is just in SS1. but in his school, everybody belongs to a cult. They call themselves the Malians, and they do all kinds of horrible things. And he refused to join them, but somehow they put a concoction of drugs inside the drink for him. And this thing is dangerous to the brain. It almost made him run mad. And the mother was just so devastated because she's a widow and she has 5 children to take care of all on her own. So this boy was seriously affected, and I wept because I just can't imagine how wicked people can be. He didn't want to join. These are the things that happen around you. It may not be you, it may be your younger brother, it may be your elder brother, it may be. You just have to open your eyes to what is happening in our society. It is very important. And then I want to talk about the concept of fun as young people. Young people, while adults are busy thinking about the next house rent, building a house, school fees, young people are mostly preoccupied with how can I relax and have fun and entertainment. Now, in having fun and entertainment, we need to be cautious. Islam is not a boring religion. Islam is not abstract. Islam is not too strict. The things that are halal are more than the things that are haram, because when you are preaching to people, they will always be like, is it everything in Islam that is haram? No. The things that are haram, you can count them. But the things that are halal, they are uncountable. As you are taking your snack now, it is very halal for you. Sitting down here is halal for you. Everything you are doing is halal for you. You walking out of this room is halal for you. But the things that harm are not that many. It's just because we are going far from Allah that we feel as if He's restricting us too much. So in this concept of fun and entertainment, I'd like to appeal to you. This is an appeal now. I've rounded up the issue of the criminalities and what constitutes offense under the Nigerian Constitution and the criminal codes. I'm going forward now to appeal, because that's what we can do. We can only do nasiha, and we need to constantly remind ourselves that in having fun and entertainment, you should realize that Islam will not allow you to do something that harms you. You are pleasing yourself by being entertained, by having fun, but if that thing is going to harm you, like drugs, alcohol, or smoking or anything, if it's going to harm you in any way, then it becomes haram in Islam. If it causes distress to those who love you, if it causes pain to them, it has become haram. Because the ties of kinship is very important in Islam. If whatever it is that you are using to entertain yourself or to have fun is going to cause pain to the people around you, it becomes haram. There's a very thin line between harmless fun and the things that go into haram. And that's why I say we should constantly do tazkiyah to nafs, checking of your soul. You are checking your soul constantly, because you can die at any time. There are some people that have died when you were in primary school. They are no more here with us. There are some people that you went to high school together. They are no more with us. If I think back at my journey through life, I realize that I've lost a lot of friends along the way. Some are your aunties, some are younger than you, some are older than you. So at no point should anybody feel as if it's not yet my time. It can be your time at any time. So we have to continuously do tazkiyah to nafs, checking our soul, so that we don't stray against Allah, we don't stray against the state, by which I mean the law of your land. You need to employ emotional intelligence and have a strong willpower as an individual, no matter your age. Emotional intelligence will help you to fight against bullying, against peer pressure, against the trending things in the society which Allah does not want. Emotional intelligence. Please read books about it. Read motivational books. It's different from IQ. Your intelligence quotient may be very high, but if your emotional intelligence is low, for instance, the example I'm giving of children that are sent off to university when they are not mature, what they are lacking is emotional intelligence. Yes, they may be brilliant. It's possible they got double promotion throughout primary school because of their high intellect. But if they are not emotionally prepared for what they are going to meet there at that stage, it's going to affect them. And at the end, that same academic excellence is going to go down. So you need to have emotional intelligence, a very strong willpower to be able to say no when friends want to drag you into what you don't want to do. You have to have emotional intelligence in dealing even with your parents. A lot of times we hurt our parents when we are young because we do not realize. 10 years from now, you are going to think of some things you told your father or your mother, and you are going to feel very bad that you said them. And if you are not lucky to have them with you at your old age, maybe something happens and they die. You know, some people, they are battling at the age of 60, 50, 60, they are battling with diabetes and all that. If for any reason you lose your parents, you always regret. I wish I had done this. I wish I had done more. I wish I had said nicer things. I wish I had told my mother how much I love her. I wish I had not shouted at my mother to leave me alone because she was always telling me to do this and do that. Emotional intelligence will help you to deal with your parents better. So we need to be mature. We need to be those young category of people that were living during the time of the Prophet. I read their stories and I'm like, wow, may Allah make our children like that. There are some young people during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the time of the people after him. The people after him are called the Tabi'un. They came immediately after him. And you will see young people of 14, 15 who were so exceptional. They fought jihad for the sake of Islam. They renounced this world. They forgot about materialism. They sacrificed everything they have for the sake of Islam. And they were teenagers. Some of them, the Prophet will put his hand on their head and he will pray for them. He will put his hand on their chest and he will pray for them. When I see exceptional young men, I'm always impressed. Because we live in an age where everybody is just ras. The person I was talking about, the lady whose son was forced to join aliens, what made her know something was wrong was that her son was ordinarily a quiet boy. But all of a sudden, he will be telling his younger one slogans, say, Mali, I know they respect anybody. Mali, I know they do this. Mali, and his younger one will be like, Mommy, what is he saying? We don't understand what these things he's saying. You know, something that makes you to become shameless. The Prophet ﷺ said, if you do not have shame, then do what you like. So we should not as youth ever say that we want to live our life the way we want. If you say that, it means you are calling yourself a shameless person. In Islam, we are always to be filled with a sense of shame and shyness, not to do anything that will annoy Allah or our parents. So those kind of slogans that people say as young people that indicate that you are free to do what you like, it is wrong. It is wrong in Islam. We cannot do what we like as Muslims because Allah says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I did not create mankind and the jinns except that they should worship me. This worship, Allah is not saying that for 24 hours we are going to have to sit on our praying mats and be praying. What he's saying is that even in your eating, in your walking, in your talking to friends, in everything you are doing, you should be worshiping Allah. This is what Allah is saying. That's why he says, I did not just create you for fun. I didn't create you for uselessness. I created you because I want you to worship me. So this worship will show in your character too. So I'd like everybody here to make a bucket list and to draw a vision board when you get home. Make a bucket list of what I want to achieve in 3 years, what I want to achieve this year, what I want to achieve in 5 years, where I want to be in 10 years, the level of certification in whatever profession you are doing that you want to have in the next 7 years. Draw a bucket list. The things I want to do before I die, because we don't know when we are going to die. If you want to write a book, start making plans on how you want to do it. If you want to publish a book at the age of 20, you start doing it. Make a bucket list of what you want to do. It is important. When you have focus, you are different from those that do not have focus. You have to make productive use of all the resources at your time that you have at your hand. If you come from a privileged home, you have to think of how can I use money to earn me Jannah? How can I use money to do good deeds? How can I use my brain and my skills? There's something you are good at. Some people are foodies, they know everything about food. You can make money from it. Some people like to read, some people like to do a lot of things. Whatever it is, you can make money from it. So be productive. Use your phone, your social media, just like Sister Asma was telling us, for productive things, to make money, to share useful content, to inspire your mates. Don't mind that they are going to call you a Fizi, a Fico. They will call you Ustazia. They will call you all kind of things. Your aim is to share useful content, to inspire, be a motivation. There are scholars that are older than Mufti, but they have not motivated us as much as he has motivated us. So be a motivation to your peers. Be a leader. Don't be a follower. Don't be a youth that does things that my friends want to do this. Be the one that is initiating what you want them to do. Read the Quran. Subhanallah. I cannot tell you the joy that comes from reading the Quran every single day. Read it, ponder over it, understand it. You know, one scholar was saying, I used to wonder when I read the stories of the Sahaba, that's the companions of the Prophet. I used to wonder how they can be so attached to the Quran and they don't get tired. Why don't they get tired of reading the Quran every day, all the time? And then he said, when I now saw in this generation how people are attached to their phones, then I understood what it means to love something. If you are attached to something you love, you will do it every day. And that's how the Quran should be for us. Because the Quran is going to help you when you die, in your grave and on the day of judgment too. On social media, she mentioned how she sees nude pictures of young people all over the social media, particularly in TikTok. I see it a lot. Can we please settle down? Can we please settle down? We're almost through. Please settle down. We're almost through here. So she was harping on the fact that she sees a lot of nude pictures of young Muslim children on social media. I've heard that too on TikTok, how people will just post content about themselves. It is haram because on the day of judgment, all those things will be brought to testify against you. So I've given you alternatives, which is to read and to write and to draw plans and to be focused and to try as much as possible to check yourself every day and constantly in your life as you go along. As the age passes by, we were once like you. Yeah? At a time, you will be like us. At some time, in 100 years from now, it's possible that none of us in this room will be alive. So the fact that you know that this life is temporary, it is transient, it means that you have to always constantly check yourself. Because it doesn't end here. It doesn't end in this dunya. So because of lack of time, I will just round up by making dua that may Allah bless you all. May Allah grant you Jannah. May Allah increase you in Iman. May Allah grant you wisdom to be exceptional children. May Allah make you ambassadors of Islam. May Allah make you a shining example for other people. May Allah make you leaders and not followers. And may Allah grant you success in this world and in the Akhirah. And I'll end by saying, فَسُبْحَانَكَ اللَّهُمَّ وَبِحَمْدِكَ أَشْهَدُ أَنْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنْتَ أَسْتَغْفِرُكَ وَأَتُوبُ إِلَيْكَ سُبْحَانَ رَبِّكَ رَبِّ الْعِزَّةِ عَمَّا يَصِفُونَ وَسَلَامٌ عَلَى الْمُرْسَلِينَ وَالْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Wait, let me give the moderator to say what she wants to say.
Already. Jazakallahu khairan, sisters. Lehat. Thank you very much. And thank you all for listening. Sorry we've taken so much of your time. May Allah bless this gathering for all of us. I'm sure you have a lot to take home, especially what the last speaker has said. Be careful not to get yourself into trouble. Understand the crime and the punishment. You understand? Wherever you go, don't just think that you are still young. You cannot be in prison. They will throw you into the prison. May God forbid you are not part of it, inshallah. So be careful. The kind of friends you take, you move around with, don't let them get you into trouble. Some of you are driving now. Make sure you drive carefully, not recklessly. Because if you do anything, just like she said, even if your family forgives you, the laws of the land will catch up with you. You have examples. I'm not going to mention names. She has said them. You understand? You can see. Whatever you are saying is for you to learn. There are so many things for you to learn. What has happened to other people? So we are not praying to happen to you, but you just learn from it. So I'm very sure and confident that inshallah you all you become good adults as you grow up. May Allah continue to guide you and may Allah increase you in knowledge. Thank you so much. So tomorrow, inshallah, we'll be having the second section. The second section is going to be interactive and sort of confidential, like and separately. If you have or as a boy, please just note it. Tomorrow we have you. They'll talk to you, answer you, ask your questions. Them. So inshallah, tomorrow we'll see you. May Allah make it easy for us and bless us. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.